Chapter 608. Naturally, it felt different when he returned home. He felt much more relaxed. Father, who is this? Lin Fan squinted. Other people couldn't tell, but how could he not? This young but feminine fellow was strong and his body contained terrifying power. The Four Alliances didn't have such a person. If this person was present when he wiped out the Four Alliances half a year ago, it would have been really tough for him to wipe out those sections. A guest, Lin Wani said. Lin Fan smiled. Father, when did you have such an amazing friend? Why didn't I see him when the border was in trouble? No, I am familiar with your aura. It is like the bug controlling technique aura. You are from Insect Valley? Old Ancestor Xiao was slightly shocked. He didn't expect him to see through the hidden aura in his body right away. One had to say that he was really amazing. At the same time, he had cultivated the bug controlling technique to a really high realm. Just as Old Ancestor Xiao wanted to say something, he sensed that Lin Fan's aura was a little off. Lin Fan stood in front of Yongla and looked at her ashen white face. He frowned and asked, "What happened?" He realized that the bracelet on Yongla's wrist had cracks on its surface. Yongla muttered and didn't want to say. She understood her husband. "Be good, listen to me. You know that I don't like people lying to me." Lin Fan touched her hair and asked softly. In her heart, her husband was heaven and earth. She said softly, "It is him." Lin Fan sucked in a deep breath and stared at Old Ancestor Xiao. "You have balls, you even dare to touch my wife." Old Ancestor Xiao said, "This is just a misunderstanding. I didn't pay attention and suppressed my aura." Just in that instant, a furious roar exploded in Old Ancestor Xiao's ears. "Misunderstanding your head. If I don't beat you up today, do you really think that the people around me are easy to bully?" Lin Fan was furious and instantly disappeared from the spot. When he appeared once more, he punched him. "Why are you so rash?" Old Ancestor Xiao was helpless. Were the juniors so impulsive now? It was just a small matter, yet he acted so recklessly. It was truly a little too arrogant. Looking at Lin Fan's fist, Old Ancestor Xiao didn't panic at all. He raised his hand and wanted to block it. But as Lin Fan's fist got close, Old Ancestor Xiao's expression changed. Not good. This power was not as simple as he had imagined. The power contained within it was somewhat terrifying. "Get out of here!" Lin Fan released his fist and grabbed Old Ancestor Xiao's wrist. He hollered in rage and tossed Old Ancestor Xiao far out of Yu City. Otherwise, if they fought here, the consequences would be dire. "Xiao!" Old Ancestor Xiao turned into a streak of light and headed into the distance. Bang! Lin Fan soared into the sky and chased after him. "Fan!" Lin Wani shouted. He didn't want his son to have a conflict with him, but everything happened too quickly. In the blink of an eye, the two of them disappeared and he couldn't stop him at all. Yongla's face turned even paler. "Father, what should we do now?" She was so anxious that she was about to cry. Lin Wani waved his hand and said, "I'm fine, don't worry." In the distance, Old Ancestor Xiao was stunned. This kid was just bluffing and attacked just like that. He was just too arrogant. Just as he was thinking about all this, space exploded and numerous sword intents pierced through heaven and earth. They formed into a dragon that spun over. It was really fierce and he was serious. "Not bad sword move," Old Ancestor Xiao praised. He raised his hand and focused for a moment. He clasped his fingers together and slashed forwards quickly. Pili Pala. There was the sound of metal clashing. You have some skill. It seems like you know that you have some skill, which is why you dare to be so arrogant? You really don't know your place. I will teach you a lesson later. Lin Fan's words stunned Old Ancestor Xiao. The juniors were so arrogant now. He actually said such words to him. "Kid, you really are arrogant. I have roamed the world and never met someone as arrogant as you. I want to see how much skill you have." Old Ancestor Shao was so furious that his head was about to explode. He woke up from the stone coffin and knew that evil gods had descended. He had to plan for this, and he needed to find the top experts of the world. He wanted to find the sect leaders of the top sects, but who knew that they were all wiped out by one person? Who knew where the surviving sect leaders were hiding? Thus, he came to U City to find the expert who wiped out the top sections. Insect Valley Head told him that this kid was arrogant and overbearing. If old Ancestor Shao went over, things would probably happen. Old Ancestor Shao didn't believe it. But now it seemed like he was thinking too much. They had already King made their move. Kiki, this is what I want to say to you. You bullied my wife and you have to pay the price. No matter who comes today, it is useless. Lin Fan scolded. The power in his body boiled and a power current exploded. It caused the sky to shake and the wind to stir. As expected, you are amazing. Old Ancestor Zhao's expression was solemn and he didn't dare to be careless. The aura that Lin Fan gave off was really strong, but there was something that confused old Ancestor Shao. He was just at Dao Realm Stage 7, so why was the power that exploded out a little off? Just as he was thinking about all of this, Lin Fan clenched his fists and hammered towards the space. With a loud explosion, the dimension was shattered and a tunnel was formed. The power that exploded was like a dragon that roared in rage as it pressed towards old Ancestor Shao. Pung! Old Ancestor Shao naturally wasn't weak. He slapped forwards and the entire area shook. Lin Fan flashed like he could teleport. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of old Ancestor Shao. A demon ape image appeared and roared in rage. It clasped its fists and pressed forwards. Kid, don't go overboard. Old Ancestor Shao hollered in rage. He calmly raised his hand to block, and each clash would cause a shocking shockwave. Lin Fan scoffed coldly and didn't reply. He used all his strength to strike him. He didn't expect that he would actually meet an expert who could fight until now. Since he broke through to Dao Realm Stage 7, he hadn't met anyone who could match him. But this fellow was a little strong. Not only did he last until now, but he also had the chance to fight back. In fact, every time the opponent attacked, he would have to use his full strength to defend against it. When experts fought, each move was fatal. Pung! Lin Fan's chest was punched and the blood in his body boiled. Lin Fan didn't show weakness and smashed onto old Ancestor Zhao's face. The two of them retreated. You have some ability. Lin Fan wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. Old Ancestor Shao rubbed his face. It was already swollen and it hurt a little. Kid, you have some ability, but don't think that you can do anything to me. With your strength, I can crush you with one finger. Ha! Lin Fan laughed. What a joke, you can crush me with one finger? Then bring it on, let me see how you crush me. You! Old Ancestor Zhao's body shook. He was so furious that he was shaking. He raised his hand and pointed at Lin Fan. Your words are just so ugly. If you were born in my era, with your temper, you would have been suppressed long ago. Kiki, interesting. If I was born in your era, you wouldn't be able to do anything. Maybe you would be like the sects of the Four Alliances, running away and crying for your parent. Lin Fan said. He was very puzzled. What exactly was that era that this guy kept talking about? You are infuriating me. Old Ancestor Shao was furious. His Dao essence shook and instantly, a black aura appeared on his body. Shortly after, a terrifying aura exploded from his body. This is a merger? Lin Fan was sensitive to the aura of the bug controlling technique and noticed that he was using it right away. He could only smile to express his respect towards him. He was bold. Then, let's see whose bug controlling technique was stronger. Old Ancestor Shao was furious from Lin Fan's words and actions. He was so furious that he was about to explode on the spot. He directly used the bug controlling technique to increase his strength. But shortly after, he realized that something was wrong. The bugs in his body were actually going berserk. He raised his head and looked at Lin Fan. Lin Fan's smile caused him to explode once more. "Brat!" Old Ancestor Shao hollered in rage. Lin Fan smiled. "Your bug-controlling technique is not bad, but why do I feel that you, the creator, can't compare to me, who hasn't cultivated for long?" "But to merge, that depends on whether or not you have the ability." Lin Fan opened his fingers and the special Tao essence of the bug-controlling technique spread, causing the bugs that Old Ancestor Shao accumulated to be in chaos. Shortly after, the moment Old Ancestor Shao was furious. He suppressed Old Ancestor Shao. Facing an opponent who was on the same level as him, he could only fight head-on. At the same time, Lin Fan was filled with anticipation towards the future battle. It was lonely to be too strong. Only when one met an opponent who was on the same level would one feel happy. The battle didn't stop. Loud explosions rang out. Pung! A person rolled on the ground. As he rolled, he smashed into a stone and flipped over. Cough cough. Old Ancestor Shao spat out blood and his eyes were filled with shock. He didn't expect the kid to be so strong to really injure him. Lin Fan panted and his injuries weren't much better. "You do have some ability, but do you think that you can do whatever you want?" Old Ancestor Shao stood up and his gaze became sharp. "We are on the same level. Your situation isn't much better than mine." "What are you saying? Open your eyes and look. I am not better than you?" Lin Fan used the Blood Demon reversal technique, and his injuries instantly recovered. "How is that possible?" Old Ancestor Zhao's eyes opened wide like he had seen a ghost. This kid was badly injured, so how did he recover so quickly? What secret technique was that? During this period of time, someone actually developed such a terrifying technique. As expected, one couldn't underestimate people from any era. Chapter 609. Why? I am stunned. Lin Fan twisted his neck and hooked his finger at Old Ancestor Shao. "Come, continue. I want to see how skilled you are. Do you really think that you are a big shot? No matter where you came from or what era you are from, in this era, you have to be well behaved." His words were really overbearing. If one had to say how angry Old Ancestor Shao was, there was only one way to describe it. Rage points plus 999. From the start till now, Old Ancestor Shao had provided over 10,000 rage points. In the past, there was a limit to rage points, and after providing a certain amount, it wouldn't increase. But what was shocking was that Old Ancestor Shao didn't seem to have reached his limit. No one knew where his limit was. Too hateful. Old Ancestor Shao clenched his fists. "Kid, I have something to discuss with you. For such a small matter, you fought with me until now. Don't you know how to look at the big picture?" "Stop." Lin Fan raised his hand and interrupted Old Ancestor Zhao's nonsense. "Don't talk to me about the big picture. I don't like to hear those words. What I want to do is the most important. Especially your actions before. If you weren't strong, you would have been a corpse." Old Ancestor Shao could swear to the heavens that he had seen numerous experts in his life and many arrogant people. But in comparison, no one could be more arrogant than this kid. He really deserved to be beaten up, and it made one furious. Old Ancestor Shao stared at Lin Fan in rage, and his breathing started to rush. Lin Fan opened his arms and was prepared to give Old Ancestor Shao another set of punches to send him on his way. "Fan, stop." At that moment, Lin Wani walked over from afar. When he saw the injuries on Old Ancestor Zhao's body, he was slightly shocked. Fan was so strong? He actually beat him up like that. That was just too overbearing. "Father, why did you come? Be careful, I am going all out against him. Be careful that this person is no match for me and uses despicable method," Lin Fan said. Those words infuriated Old Ancestor Shao. This kid's words were just so bad. What was his status? Was he such a person? This was simply slander. Damn it. Lin Wani said, Okay, old ancestor Shao, please calm down. We can put aside what happened before. You definitely have an important matter to come to U City to find us. Then, he looked at Lin Fan. Fan, this matter is settled. Don't continue fighting. Lin Fan was a little helpless, but since his father had already said so, how could he not give his father face? You're lucky. If it wasn't for my father, you wouldn't be leaving here alive today. Listen. Was this even something a human could say? It was too much. This was too much. Xiao Chun had never encountered such a situation before. Now, he could be considered unlucky. Encountering such a person. U City, Lin Manor. There was a reason why Lin Wani stopped this battle. The Insect Valley old ancestor suddenly came to U City to find them for something important. Although his actions were infuriating. But thinking about it, it was indeed unintentional. At the same time, he was the Insect Valley old ancestor. With his status and strength, it was hard for him to think like a normal person. So, he stopped him. Speak, why did you come to U City to find us? Lin Fan sat there and took a bite of the apple in his hand. Old ancestor Shao was about to explode. Originally, with his existence, he was high above. He was an old senior and all of them had to listen to him. But now, the situation changed. Everyone was on the same level, had the same status and had the same right. Don't think that just because you were an old-era expert you could do whatever you wanted. Seeing that the other party was still standing there in a daze, Lin Fan could not help but be somewhat impatient and said, Say something, don't you have something to say? Why aren't you saying it now? You. Old ancestor Shao looked at Lin Fan. That expression, that attitude, he wanted to beat Lin Fan to death. Lin Wani scolded. Although he stood on his son's side, he couldn't treat him so arrogantly. No matter what, it was a little unfriendly. Lin Fan waved his hands. Okay, then I won't say anything. I will just listen. Old ancestor Shao, don't take it to heart. My son is stubborn but he has no bad intentions. Lin Wani shamelessly explained and then said, But there is something I want to know. If old ancestor Shao is the old ancestor of Insect Valley, then why haven't I heard about it? Lin Wani didn't suspect that old ancestor Zhao's identity was problematic. More importantly, he wanted to know what was going on. It is normal that outsiders don't know about this. Only Insect Valley's valley heads and some elders know about this. Insect Valley was actually created when I woke up due to a special reason. Although I am the old ancestor, I didn't do anything for Insect Valley. So it is normal that I am not famous. Old ancestor Shao said. Lin Wani nodded. I told you that if old ancestor Shao was in charge of Insect Valley, then I would definitely know about your name. Father, let him get to the point. These things are pointless. Lin Fan said. Cough cough. Lin Wani pretended to cough. He said that he wouldn't speak, so why couldn't he help but speak? Old ancestor Zhao's impression of Lin Fan was really bad. Damn, maybe in a few hundred or a few thousand years, such a person might not even appear. Living was not an easy thing to do, and he still had to court death like this. He didn't even know how he managed to survive until now when he was weak. Lin Fan turned his head and didn't say anything. Old ancestor Shao adjusted his emotions. I came here mainly because of one thing. The ocean eye has opened and it is connected to evil god blood food world. You know about that? Lin Fan asked. Although father didn't let him speak, when it came to important matters, he was quite familiar. Evil god and the others were giving him a headache. The key was that the evil god was wretched enough, and its undying characteristic was extremely annoying, making it impossible to kill it. If they could kill the evil god, it would naturally not be so troublesome. Even if they knew how to hide, it was okay. As long as he could kill them, one day he would kill all of them. Old ancestor Shao said, Not only do I know, I understand them more than anyone else. Evil gods have existed for a long time, and this place wasn't like this in the past. If you personally saw it, you would probably be terrified. Lin Fan frowned and felt that old ancestor Zhao's words were really serious. I don't have any schemes. The reason why I am here is because the ocean eye has been opened. All of you have cultivated to Tao Realm Stage 7, and you know that you can't break through to Tao Realm Stage 8. Actually, a long time ago, Tao Realm Stage 8 existed, but due to some matters, I could only reach Tao Realm Stage 7. Old Ancestor Xiao said slowly. He was even recalling the scenes of the past. Lin Fan said, "What was the reason? Were evil gods so terrifying? I went to Blood Food World a while ago and felt that they were just SOSO. Kiki ignorant." Old Ancestor Xiao said, "The evil gods you met weren't in the top 10, right? You probably haven't even met the 3 pillar gods." "Why? Are the top 10 strong?" Lin Fan asked. Old Ancestor Xiao smiled and then said, "With your current strength, if you meet the top 10 evil gods, I suggest you flee. Don't think about fighting them. Maybe you can fight them with your current strength, but before you break through to Tao Realm Stage 8 and 9 and comprehend the characteristics, you are still weak." Lin Wani said, "Based on that, the reason why no one can break through to Tao Realm Stage 8 is because of those evil gods? Right." Old Ancestor Xiao nodded. During that battle, 136 peak Tao Realm Stage 9 experts gathered at the Ocean Eye and had a final battle with the evil gods. That battle was really shocking. Blood flowed like a river and the experts were like cannon fodder. Corpses fell from the sky and piled up on the ground. In the end, with the Tao pattern laws above Stage 8 as the foundation, they were injected into the bodies of the 3 pillar gods and forced them back into the abyss. Those experts who were on the verge of destruction used their last bit of strength to forge a stone door to suppress the Ocean Eye. They protected this place, but because this world lacked Tao pattern laws, no one could break through to Tao Realm Stage 8. They could only linger around Tao Realm Stage 7. I was one of the peak experts, but everyone died and some were heavily injured. In the end, I had no choice but to seal myself. Old Ancestor Xiao thought back to those scenes and till now, he still felt terrified. It was too intense. The strength of the top 10 evil gods, the terror of the 3 pillar gods. If one didn't personally witness it, one wouldn't believe it. Lin Wani kept silent for a moment. When he heard these secrets, he was shocked. He asked, "Then, why did Old Ancestor Xiao find me and my son?" Old Ancestor Xiao said, "I hope that you can help me get back the missing Tao pattern laws and help the Stage 7 experts of this world step into Stage 8 or even Stage 9. If there aren't more Stage 9 experts, then the next time we face the evil gods, we won't be able to fight back at all." Lin Fan asked, "We can get back the missing Tao pattern laws together, but I want to know whether or not we can kill them." Old Ancestor Xiao was stunned and then said with uncertainty, "Maybe. We can." "Don't say maybe, I want to know the exact answer." Lin Fan really wanted to know. But looking at his expression, he frowned. Could they really not be killed? If that was the case, then that was a huge problem. Old Ancestor Xiao kept silent for a moment. "I really don't know. We did kill the evil gods, but they could revive in the abyss. As for the 3 pillar gods, we injected more than Stage 8 Tao pattern laws into their bodies. If they died, then the Tao pattern laws should have returned to this world. But they didn't, so we can only say that they are undying." Chapter 610. So tough. Lin Fan was really helpless. He didn't believe that evil gods were undying. But now this fellow also said that evil gods were undying. Moreover, he paid such a huge price and still couldn't kill him. One had to say that this was a huge blow to Lin Fan. Undying? Lin Fan thought about it for a moment and then said firmly, "It's definitely impossible. You guys are definitely not strong enough." Old Ancestor Xiao looked at Lin Fan. I don't like your words. What do you mean you aren't strong enough? So many stage 9 experts and you still can't kill them. Then, tell me, what kind of expert is strong enough? Only those who can totally kill evil gods are strong enough, Lin Fan said. Old ancestor Shao was lazy to talk to Lin Fan. Whatever he thought, as long as they worked together to find the missing Tao pattern laws, it would be fine. At that moment, Lin Fan thought about something and took it out from the dimension. Look at what this is? I got it from Gamon's body. Old ancestor Shao took a close look at it. Suddenly, his expression changed. This actually contains the missing Tao pattern laws. How can evil god Gamon's body have these things? They were all shot into the 3 pillar gods' bodies. Old ancestor Shao was shocked and filled with disbelief. This contains Tao pattern laws. Lin Fan took it from old ancestor Shao and said, Are you sure? I am sure. As long as one consumes it, one will be able to comprehend stage 8. But this amount is only enough for one person. Old ancestor Shao said. Old ancestor Shao was really confused. What was going on? Logically speaking, how could this be in the evil god's body? Was it? But thinking about it, it was impossible. He couldn't understand. Lin Fan doubted old ancestor Zhao's words and didn't believe them right away. Although old ancestor Zhao's words were true, they had only met for a short time. The key was that he was from Insect Valley, so who knew whether or not he was lying? Then, I will let you consume it. Lin Fan tossed it to old ancestor Shao. Old ancestor Shao smiled like he understood why Lin Fan did that. He said regretfully, This is useless to me. I am already at Tao Realm Stage 9, so I don't need it to break through. T-sich. Lin Fan snatched the bead back. What you said might be true, but I don't believe you. It was better to put it bluntly. It would save him a lot of trouble. Lin Wani looked at the pearl and had some thoughts. Before he was prepared to say anything, Lin Fan said, Father, don't rush. Whether or not this thing is useful is still a problem. Once we confirm it, it will be safer. He wouldn't let his father take the risk. What if there was a problem here? Moreover, he was in the evil god's body. Who knew whether or not he would be infected by the evil god's aura or if he would become the evil god's substitute after swallowing it? These were all things that he needed to pay attention to. He absolutely could not be careless. Sigh. Lin Wani sighed. Fan Er's words made sense, but he really wanted to reach stage 8, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to help much. I am speaking the truth and I didn't hide anything. If you don't believe me, then that is up to you. Old ancestor Shao said calmly. Lin Fan said, Maybe you are speaking the truth, but at least I find it hard to believe you now. Old ancestor Shao waved his hands. Forget it, let's not talk about this. I need to go back and prepare for the cooperation we agreed on. Since the Tao pattern laws are in the evil god's body, then it is easy. I just need to kill them and take them out. You make it sound so simple. Do you know where the evil gods are hiding? Lin Fan asked. Old ancestor Shao felt like this kid was going against him. Whatever he said, he would always be able to retort. It was like he would die if he didn't retort. He was about to explode from rage. But forget it, the big picture was more important. Since you are going against me, I will bear with it. Once I deal with the evil god disaster, if I am still alive, I will make this kid cry out in pain. I have an idea. Old ancestor Shao said. He had an intense battle with the evil gods and knew some method. But he didn't know whether or not they were useful. He got up and was prepared to leave. Once I am prepared, I will come here to find you. Old ancestor Shao left in rage. Although he was here to discuss matters, he was infuriated by Lin Fan. He was even a little suspicious. Was it right or wrong to work with this fellow? But he had no choice. He had thought that by bringing peace to this world with his former companions, the younger generation would be able to develop well. But someone told him. That was it. All the sects were wiped out by one person. Old Ancestor wanted to find peak experts, but he couldn't find them. No one knew where they ran to. Father, this person doesn't look reliable, Lin Fan said. Lin Wani said, Fan you can't judge a person by their looks. Although we haven't known each other for long, I think that he is a decent person and he isn't unreliable. Who cares, as long as he dares to do anything wrong, then I will teach him a lesson. Lin Fan was lazy to bother about him. He told his father that he had to go see his wife. Damn, he would remember this, and when he had a chance, he would teach him a lesson. In the past, I told you to have a family but you didn't want it, now. Hey. Lin Wani shook his head. He had nothing to say to his son. Look at him. He went to see his wife right after he returned home. Why couldn't he tell in the past? But what made Lin Wani solemn was that he heard everything that old ancestor Shao said. In the past, there were actually so many Dao Realm Stage 9 experts. But when they fought against the evil gods, they either died or were crippled. One had to say that it was a little terrifying. Lin Wani felt the pressure on his body increase. He couldn't sit still and do nothing. Alliance. This period of time was really dark for the Alliance, and many things happened. The turmoil started at the Art Exhibition Center. After the tycoon bought Zhou Daoqi's spiritual world, painting at a high price, not long after, the tycoon's family went crazy for no reason. This matter caused an uproar in the Alliance. After all, it was just too weird for a rich family to go crazy. Moreover, this rich family was close to a higher-up in the Alliance headquarters. The two of them were good friends, and after such a thing happened, the higher-up came to investigate. In the end, he placed his target on the spiritual world. At the start, he didn't notice, but he realized that there was something wrong with the painting. He stared at it for a long time, and it actually affected his mind. A gray world appeared in his mind, and there was a pair of weird eyes staring at him. He brought the painting back, and after studying it, he realized that there was an unknown power hidden in it. Those who weren't mentally strong would easily lose themselves and go crazy. Thus, things were much simpler. The Alliance just needed to start from the artist who created it. Zhou Daoqi walked into the sights of the Alliance headquarters. The artist who was in decline suddenly swept the exhibition. At the same time, his style changed. This made the Alliance headquarters feel that there was definitely something wrong with this person. At that moment, outside an old abandoned building, the Alliance patrol police had already surrounded the place. The lights shone towards the abandoned building, lighting it up so brightly that not a single dark corner was left. Zhou Daoqi, you have been surrounded. The Alliance patrol police held a loudspeaker and shouted. He was really afraid of this dark and sinister place. Among the police, there was an Alliance 9-star general. This 9-star general was an expert from Hell Mountain, and his cultivation had reached Dao Realm. But it wasn't high, so it wasn't a problem for him to solve such small matters. Within the abandoned building, Zhou Daoqi sat there and drew crazily. He didn't care about the situation outside. No matter how loud they were, it didn't affect his desire to draw. At that moment, as Zhou Daoqi's brush continued to fall on the paper, a black mist slowly floated out from the paper and floated in the room without dispersing. If an ordinary person were to look at the painting that he was currently painting, they would definitely feel very uncomfortable. Not long later, with a pata sound, when the painting was completed and the last stroke landed, the brush in his hand split into two. Dee-da! Dee-da! The tip of the brush pierced his palm, but Zhou Daoqi, who was in a frenzy, didn't care about that at all. Suddenly, Zhou Daoqi took out a dagger and smiled. He gave out a weird laugh. He placed the dagger on his wrist and slowly slid it. His skin tore open and his veins broke. Fresh blood splattered onto the canvas. Outside, the Alliance police shouted so loudly that their throats hurt, but there was still no movement. He was thinking about what Zhou Daoqi was doing. Now that he was surrounded, he had no chance to escape. Why not just come out and save himself some trouble? Zhou Daoqi, you have 1 minute to come out, otherwise, we will have to take measures against you. The Alliance police shouted. Maybe because he was too tired, he grabbed his collar and heaved a sigh of relief. At that moment, the Alliance 9-star general got up. His face turned cold and there was an unknown rage in him. Okay, there is no need to shout. I will head in personally. The 9-star general from Hell Mountain said. Zhou Yi liked the way people called him now. 9-star general. That was a beautiful change in identity. Although he had fantasized about it in the past, he felt that it was impossible. Who knew that the chance would come just like that? The Alliance was actually controlled by Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island. Just thinking about it made one laugh in one's dreams. 9-star general, we can handle such a small matter. Why do you need to head in personally? The Alliance police said. To him, if he couldn't even handle such a small matter, then he would lose face. Zhou Yi raised his hand and said calmly, there is a problem with this fellow and it isn't something you can solve. Wait for me outside and I will be out soon. The moment he said this, Zhou Yi disappeared from the spot and when he appeared once more, he was at the entrance of the abandoned building. His body slowly entered and disappeared without a trace. Okay, it will be solved soon. The Alliance police said. The Alliance 9-star general personally headed out, so how could it be a joke? Chapter 6:11. Time passed minute by minute and second by second. The abandoned building was really silent and there was no movement at all. Weird, the 9-star general has been in for so long, so why is there no movement at all? The patrolling policemen waiting outside were really curious. Logically speaking, with how powerful the marshal was, dealing with a mere painter should have been a piece of cake. How could it have dragged on for so long? Suddenly, something was tossed out from the window. It drew a parabola in the air and landed on the ground, slowly rolling. Go take a look at what it is. The patrolling policeman ordered the people around him to take a look. Someone went to take a look right away. But immediately after, a terrified cry was heard. What happened? The patrolling policeman who was ordered to take a look ran back. His face was ashen white. That is, what is it? The patrolling policeman who was bowing in front of the 9-star general hollered in rage. Seeing how he was trembling, he frowned unhappily. He was so timid and he even came to this job. When he returned, he had to train him. How embarrassing! He pushed that person aside and walked forward. Very quickly. Ah! A panicked scream rang out. He fell to the ground and his eyes opened wide as he looked at the thing in front of him. It was a head. It was the 9-star general who had just entered the abandoned building. At this moment, the eyes of the head were opened wide. Disbelief and panic appeared in his eyes. Maybe when he died, he didn't even know how he died. Just at that moment, a white mist surged out from the abandoned building. What is that? Look, what's this? Everyone panicked and cried out in alarm. The white mist was really quick and instantly covered them. Shortly after, there were screams. At the same time, there was the sound of something being sliced. It was like someone was being ripped into pieces by something. The white mist was really thick and after it spread out, one could only see a small area. One couldn't see anything further. Chaos exploded. Evil God's power started to invade the Alliance, and they couldn't block it at all. Insect Valley. Valley Head, old ancestor went to U City to find Linwani. You said that it doesn't benefit us at all. Zhuolai said. This was not what he had expected. When he found out that the person who appeared in the stone coffin was the old ancestor, his heart was filled with excitement. Now that the old ancestor had returned, who in the world could be a match for him? But what happened next? It was a little hard to understand. Old ancestor actually wanted to head to U City to find experts to complete something together. This was unacceptable to him. After all, the old ancestor's return used up all of Insect Valley's foundations. This was a fatal blow to Insect Valley. The Valley Master said slowly, Elder Joie, there are some things that cannot be casually discussed. The great ancestor naturally has his reasons. Although that was what he said. However, from the Valley Master's slightly trembling brows, it could be seen that the Valley Master was also somewhat displeased. It was just that he could not show it because of the great ancestor's status and identity. Each era had its own overlord. Insect Valley was in his hands, and now that the old ancestor appeared, it naturally affected his position. Of course, this was not important to the Valley Master. But now that the old ancestor used up all the savings of Insect Valley, and the first thing he did after waking up was to do such a thing, the Valley Head was unhappy. But to the Valley Head, he had his own plans. What happened now temporarily didn't affect him. Not long later, Old Ancestor Shao returned to Insect Valley. Welcome, Old Ancestor, Zhuolai said respectfully. Old Ancestor Shao acknowledged. The two of you need to pay attention to the outside world. Now that the ocean eye has opened and evil gods have descended, their abilities are really weird. You need to pay attention to the weird things around. Old Ancestor, are these evil gods really so terrifying? Zhuolai asked. They are much more terrifying than you think. Old Ancestor Shao said solemnly and then waved his hands. But it is okay, you don't have to interfere. Just pay attention to the weird things around. I will get all of you the items you need to break through to Stage 8. Once your strength increases, you will be able to fight against the evil gods. Valley Head said, Old Ancestor is heading to U City because of Dao Realm Stage 8? Old Ancestor Shao nodded. He was really satisfied with this Valley Head of Insect Valley. To be able to ensure the survival of Insect Valley when the four alliances were wiped out was not bad. After all, that kid's strength was really unreasonable. With their strength, they wouldn't be able to block him at all. Zhuolai was shocked and his heart burned. Old Ancestor, can we really break through to Stage 8? Of course. Old Ancestor Shao said. For some reason, he felt helpless. Who knew whether or not it was the right choice to inject Dao pattern laws into the three pillar gods' bodies, which resulted in no Dao Realm Stage 8 experts appearing. Zhuolai was a little excited. After all, who didn't want to become Stage 8 or even Stage 9 experts? Old Ancestor, since you know the way to break through to Stage 8, then why did you tell those people in U City? Isn't it better if only we know? Once we reach Stage 8, we can make Insect Valley the strongest in the world. The moment Zhuolai said this, he felt a terrifying rage strike him. He raised his head and noticed that the way Old Ancestor looked at him was a little off. What nonsense are you saying? Old Ancestor Shao frowned and raged. Zhuolai panicked and knelt down. Old Ancestor, calm down, I didn't mean anything else. Scoff, listen up. Evil God Calamity is everyone's matter, and you are still thinking about scheming against each other. When the evil god descends, even if you have Dao Realm Stage 9 strength, you won't be able to live. Old Ancestor Shao scolded. The Valley Master said, Old Ancestor, please calm down. Elder Zhuo was just complaining because Lin Fan was too arrogant. Old Ancestor Shao said, remember, this isn't a matter of one person. No matter how strong one person is, it is useless when it comes to evil gods. If Lin Fan was here, he would definitely argue with him. What the hell was he talking about? Because they were too weak, they needed a team. If one person was strong enough, why would they need to work together? They could just crush them alone and that would be the end of it. Yes, don't worry, Old Ancestor, I know what to do. Although the four alliances have been wiped out, many top sect leaders are fine. If we use Insect Valley's name to summon them, maybe some sect leaders will come. Valley Head said. Old Ancestor Shao said, I will leave this matter to you. In a period of time, I will head to Evil God Blood Food World with Lin Fan. If we are lucky, we might be able to bring all of you what you need to break through to Stage 8. Then, old ancestor Shao left. Zhuolai had his own thoughts. He really didn't understand what the old ancestor was doing. Valley Head, don't you think that this has no benefits for us at all? If we break through to stage 8, we will definitely be able to wipe out that kid. Why did Insect Valley want to move? Naturally, it was because Lin Fan was too strong and their Insect Valley might not be able to beat him. Moreover, he cultivated the bug controlling technique, which had a huge impact on Insect Valley. One could say that it concerned their core. Valley Head said, "Listen to old ancestors' instructions. Do more and speak less. Don't bother about what you shouldn't." Zhuolai sighed and then nodded. "Yes, I understand." Alliance. The current situation was in a mess. The appearance of the white mist caused the Alliance city to be in endless danger. The mist was no different from normal mist, but visibility was really low. The places that were covered instantly became silent, but as time went on, screams would spread out. There are many people hiding in their homes, and there are many people hiding in the shop. They looked on in terror and their hearts were filled with panic. At the start, some people didn't care much about it. They walked in the mist and thought that it was just because of the weather. But as things happened, they realized that it wasn't the case. There were monsters in the mist. Yen Kuan and the 8 island heads left the Alliance headquarters and rushed to the city. "What is going on?" Yen Kuan asked and then asked, "Till now, you still haven't detected what is in the mist." "Very quickly," someone replied. "Based on detection, the mist is formed by an unknown power. There are many signs of life within. They aren't humans and might be monsters." Yen Kuan frowned. What was going on? Damn. Why did so many things happen after he snatched the Alliance over? Island Head Lan Tsang frowned. "Why don't we head in to take a look? With our strength, we shouldn't face any danger." "Okay, we can only do that," Yen Kuan replied. The mist didn't spread outwards and covered the entire city. But no one knew whether or not it would continue to spread. If it did, even if they tried to stop it, the price would be to give up on the city. "Go, let's head in," Yen Kuan said. They already controlled the Alliance, and if they didn't help, then who else could? Island Head Lan Tsang and Yen Kuan entered together, while the others waited outside in case something special happened. The entire Alliance people focused their attention on this place. They looked at the weird things that were happening on the platform. Their hearts started to feel a little uneasy. After all, only half a year had passed since Lin Fan destroyed the Alliance headquarters. They still couldn't forget what happened. "You city. Old ancestor Shao arrived. Sect leader Lin, it is about time. We should head out." Old ancestor Shao was eager to head there to search for evil gods. He wanted to find out some things. If he didn't clarify these things, it would have a huge impact on the future situation. Chapter 612. So fast. Lin Fan was still eating and old ancestor Shao was rushing him. This made him feel really helpless. At least he had to let him finish his meal. The dishes were personally cooked by Go Zi, and they were really delicious. As a maid, Mu Gang naturally served him the entire time. She took a bowl of rice and placed it there. "Old ancestor Shao, let's eat together," Lin Wani said. Old ancestor Shao wasn't moved. Just as he was about to say no, he sniffed. "Aha! This smell was a little fragrant." "You are too polite." Old ancestor Shao sat down. He had been in the coffin for too long and hadn't eaten in a long time. Just nice, he could have a good taste. This braised carp was his favorite. He picked up a piece and placed it in his mouth. Suddenly, old ancestor Zhao's expression froze. His eyes opened wide like something important had happened. When Lin Wani saw those scenes, he was shocked by old ancestor Zhao's expression. "Old ancestor Zhao, are you okay?" A long while later, old ancestor Zhao's throat moved and he reluctantly swallowed the fish. He realized that he had lost his composure and waved his hands. "I am okay, I just thought about something. Who made this dish? It is really good." I made it, Gozi said. He was a little unhappy. He spent so much effort to make this for young master. Young master hated Insect Valley, and he didn't want them to eat the dishes he made. Old ancestor Shao nodded towards Gozi and praised him. There was nothing special about this dish, and it didn't cause his cultivation level to skyrocket with just a single bite. It reminded old ancestor Shao of the braised carp his mother made for him when he was young. When he was 13, his mother passed away and he didn't eat it anymore. But that taste was etched in his heart and it was hard to forget. Okay, it is done. Since you are in such a rush, then leave. Lin Fan placed the bowl and chopsticks down. To old ancestor Shao, this was a bolt out of the blue. Sect leader Lin, there is no rush, there is no rush. Old ancestor Shao smiled. It was obvious that he wanted to continue eating. Haze. Lin Fan shook his head in disdain, as if he had never eaten before. Forget it, forget it. Who asked my Lin family to eat the most? Hurry up and eat. Old ancestor Shao smiled and moved his chopsticks. He didn't eat anything else and just stared at the braised carp. Other people didn't know what old ancestor Shao was feeling. Only old ancestor Shao himself could understand how he felt. It was pleasurable. It had been a long, long time since he had experienced such a taste. After a long time, only the bones of the fish were left. Old ancestor Shao placed down his chopsticks. It has been a long time since I ate such delicious braised carp. He then cupped his fists and said, Thank you for your hospitality. We should be able to leave now, right? Lin Fan asked. Old ancestor Shao said, We can head out. Lin Fan didn't let his father follow and instead let him defend Yu City. It wasn't that he was afraid that his father would be in danger, but that he didn't trust old ancestor Shao. God knows what this guy is thinking. If all the experts left Yu City and people ran over, wouldn't they be lawless and out of control? Blood Food World. 2 figures appeared in the sky. Old ancestor Shao was shocked and then he understood something. He said, Who knows how many blood food worlds the evil gods have occupied? This is a new world. It isn't really new. Basically, they are all occupied by evil gods and only the 12 cities are fighting back. Lin Fan said. Old ancestor Shao said, That's not bad. To be able to hold on under the full invasion of evil gods, they have some ability. Lin Fan shook his head and smiled bitterly. Ability? Who knows what those evil gods are doing? They are using evil gods' power to defend against evil god. Do you think that is an ability? What? Old ancestor Shao was stunned like he was filled with disbelief. You said that they are using evil gods' power to defend against evil gods? How is that possible? Why would evil gods lend their power to them? This news was just too shocking for old ancestor Shao. His first thought wasn't which evil god was so friendly, but what goal did that evil god have? How could such a thing happen? Could it be that during the time he was in the stone coffin, many things that he did not know had happened? All of this isn't important now. We are here to find evil gods. As long as we find them and deal with them, everything else will be fine. Lin Fan said. He really couldn't wait any longer. Also, he really wanted to meet the top 10 evil gods that old ancestor Shao mentioned. He wanted to fight them and see how strong they were. Don't be rash. Old ancestor Shao was helpless. It was too dangerous to work with such a person. Sometimes he might really die. Lin Fan was helpless and felt that old ancestor Shao was really slow. Old ancestor Shao said, Normally when evil gods appear, they will appear on their own. But sometimes, to evil gods, they like summoning rituals. This is the highest form of respect towards evil god. Thus, normally, as long as one uses the summoning ritual, evil gods won't reject it. That is because they need to appear in front of the summoner with their strongest image. Lin Fan thought about it. Didn't this mean that evil gods were arrogant? That is indeed a good idea. Lin Fan nodded. Although old ancestor Shao was the old ancestor of Insect Valley, to be able to survive from then on, he definitely had many ways. He could use his method to summon evil gods and beat them up. To old ancestor Shao, the battle between them and evil gods wasn't just like this. Many evil god tunnels were opened and many people were corrupted by evil god. All around, there were people who were corrupted by evil gods who used summoning rituals to allow evil gods to descend. At that time, it was really problematic. They couldn't defend against it. Thus, to understand their enemy, they slowly familiarized themselves with the process. In the end, they found out that the summoning ritual was based on the sacrifice to build a connection with evil gods to allow them to descend. Of course, evil gods wouldn't descend 100% of the time. It depended on their will. Then, let's begin, Lin Fan said. He started to focus and was prepared to learn the summoning ritual. Then, he would be able to summon evil gods himself. Why would he need other people's help? Old ancestor Shao looked around and observed the situation. After confirming that there were no problems, he took out some things from the dimension. At the same time, he drew some complicated patterns on the ground. Lin Fan took a look and gave up on the idea of secretly learning from him. It was best if he didn't think about all that. The summoning ritual had high requirements and he couldn't learn it. Very quickly, a complicated pattern appeared on the ground. Sect Leader Lin, when the evil god comes out, you have to cut off the tunnel behind him. If not, he will be able to return to his original spot quickly. Old ancestor Shao said. Understood. How could Lin Fan let the evil god return the way he came? Just come, as long as you can summon him, and if he can return, then I will admit defeat. Lin Fan stopped paying attention to what old ancestor Shao took out to summon the evil god. All of that wasn't important anymore. He couldn't even learn the first step and wanted to learn the rest. Wasn't that just a dream? Lin Fan hid in the air and gathered sword intent. He then said to old ancestor Shao, "Begin, don't disappoint me." Old ancestor Shao looked at Lin Fan. He really wanted to ask, "Why were you disappointed?" Did it matter to him at all? Old ancestor Shao took in a deep breath and stood at the side. He chanted an incantation that he couldn't understand. Instantly, the patterns he drew on the ground shone. A weak evil god aura spread out. This was the initial connection with the evil god. But it wasn't the end yet. As for whether or not it would succeed, that would depend on luck. At the same time, who knew which evil god would come? Normally, when people used summoning rituals, they would choose a fixed evil god. Old ancestor Zhao's summoning ritual was to cast a wide net. With his understanding of evil gods, there would definitely be evil gods who would descend to show off in front of the weak living beings. Slowly, the light from the ritual became thicker and thicker. The space shook and shortly after, it was as if the dimension was being ripped open. Something was about to come out from within. Shortly after, a voice spread out from the void. Who is summoning the noble evil god? There really was an evil god that took the bait. Lin Fan's gaze turned sharp. At that moment, he moved. He waved his arm and the sword intent he gathered broke through the air, instantly cutting off the tunnel behind the evil god. It was just too quick, so quick that the evil god couldn't react at all. The evil god that was summoned was stunned for a moment and then asked curiously, "Who is it?" His reaction speed was a little slow. In case the evil god reacted too quickly, Lin Fan sliced everything. But who knew that the evil god was stunned and only reacted after he sliced it off? Too weak. Old ancestor Shao was disappointed. The evil god in front of him was just a second-class evil god and wasn't much at all. Old ancestor Shao didn't even want to ask for the evil god's name and attacked right away. He opened his fingers and it seemed like heaven and earth was controlled by them. He pressed down and the evil god couldn't fight back at all. With a loud explosion, he was pressed to the ground and fainted. Old ancestor Shao clenched his fingers and the evil god's body shattered. A blood pearl was grabbed in his hands. I didn't expect that second-class evil gods would have one too. Old ancestor Shao was shocked, but he still kept it. Lin Fan said, "That is a little too much. You didn't even ask for his name and just killed him. Also, you took that thing, but what about me? If you want to play like that, then let's stop." Damn. Old ancestor Zhao's series of actions stunned Lin Fan. He was an old hand. He was really quick. Not only did he kill the evil god, but he also took away the thing in his body. He didn't even say anything polite. Who was he looking down on? Old ancestor Shao said, "Sect leader Lin, he is just a second-class evil god. There is no need to do that, right? Why don't the next evil god be yours, one for each of us, and we can take turns?" "Okay, let's do as you say, take turns," Lin Fan said. Looking at the situation, the blood pearl was really useful. Chapter 6:13. Old ancestor Shao was decisive and quick. Lin Fan started to be wary. This person was really smart and wasn't easy to bluff. Take turns. One for each of them. That was a decent choice. Quick, summon the second evil god. Lin Fan rushed. Old ancestor Zhao's summoning ritual only summoned a second-class evil god. It wasn't much. He prayed that it would definitely be a first-class evil god. "Okay, sect leader Lin, prepare yourselves. I will start the summoning," Old ancestor Shao said. He stood in front of the ritual and chanted. Who knew what he was chanting and whether or not it was useful? Maybe this was the so-called style of evil god. If you didn't chant, you were disrespecting us evil gods. There weren't such complicated processes. Normal evil gods wouldn't come. Maybe evil gods were proud and didn't have friends. They didn't communicate much with one another. Logically speaking, such a situation would only succeed once or twice. After all, as long as one was smart, they would communicate with one another. They knew that there were two bastards waiting for them, and they couldn't fall for it. 1. The dimension shook. The summoning ritual was a success. Another evil god took the bait, and this evil god seemed to be a good one. The evil god's aura was really thick. It should be a first-class evil god. Very quickly, a voice spread over. "The noble evil god Nakya is here." Evil god Nakya was furious and wanted to explode out. He was killed by too small blood food, and that was something he couldn't accept. So when he sensed that someone was summoning evil gods, he agreed right away. He was a little stunned during the evil god's summoning ritual, so he missed it. But who knew that someone would summon evil gods so soon? He wanted to descend and let those small summoners see how noble evil gods were. The moment Nakyo appeared, Lin Fan attacked. Sword intent slashed the evil god tunnel. He was really quick and didn't give Nakya a chance to react at all. "Kill him," Lin Fan said. He hollered in rage and waved his arm. A sword light slashed across the sky like it was about to split the sky. Poochie! The sword light sliced off Nakya's spider legs. With a pung, Nakya leaned forwards and his body fell to the ground. Shortly after, he screamed. To Nakya, he was stunned. Damn! What exactly happened? He had just come out of the evil god's tunnel, and was just about to use his contemptuous gaze to pressure the summoner, to let the lowly summoner feel how great the evil god Nakya was. Damn it! Something was wrong. His foreleg was inexplicably chopped off by someone. You lowly blood food, you dare to do such things to the noble evil god Nakya. You deserve to die, all of you deserve to die. Nakya roared angrily. He had originally wanted to let these lowly blood food witness his mighty figure, but these fellows did not know how to cherish it. Suddenly, Nakya felt a terrifying sense of danger approaching. Old ancestor Zhao's palm covered the sky and a shocking aura gathered in his fingers. This made Nakya feel huge pressure. It seems to be there. Nakia wanted to say that he had seen old ancestor Shao before, but how would old ancestor Shao give him the chance? His palm landed and pressed down. Nakia's body gave out a crisp sound as his bones broke. There were even some bones that pierced through his flesh and were exposed outside. It was a little miserable. Old ancestor Shao didn't expect Nakia to remember him. But what a waste. He didn't care about Nakia at all. At that time, they didn't care about these levels of evil gods. Instead, they cared about the top 10 evil gods, ancient gods, and 3 pillar gods. These evil gods were the most terrifying. In the past, their Tao Realm Stage 9 experts were dozens of times more than the evil god. But the gap between the two was just too huge. There were even some Tao Realm Stage 9 experts who suspected. Could it be that they were created by the same creator as the evil gods? Why was the gap so huge? So amazing. Lin Fan looked at old ancestor Zhao's methods and couldn't help but praise. He calmly slashed and Nakia's head was separated from his body. Even when he died, he didn't understand what was going on. He obtained a first-class evil god's blood pearl. Although he wasn't sure whether or not this thing was reliable, since old ancestor Shao treated it like a toy, naturally, he couldn't give it up. If it was really useful, then wouldn't he suffer a huge loss? Sect Leader Lin, your quality is much better than what I got. Old ancestor Shao said. At the same time, old ancestor Shao was confused. What happened during this period of time? Why were the Tao pattern laws in the bodies of the evil gods? They injected them into the bodies of the 3 pillar gods to suppress them. Did the 3 pillar gods get the Tao pattern laws out from their bodies and transfer them to the evil gods? That was possible. But he didn't know about the exact situation. If he wanted to know, he had to know some inside information. Lin Fan smiled. It is just SOSO. But what is the use? I can't even kill them. What a headache. Sect Leader Lin, what we are doing now is really important. If we return the lost Tao pattern laws to the world, everyone's strength will soar. Only when we reach Tao Realm Stage 9 can we fight those terrifying evil gods. If not, everything is just empty talk. Old ancestor Shao said. Lin Fan was really curious. How strong were the top 10 evil gods that old ancestor Shao paid so much attention to? He really wanted to try. Even if old ancestor Shao said that he was asking to die and that it was dangerous. But he was confident in his own strength and wanted to see how big the gap was between him and the truly terrifying evil god. Let's not talk about all this. It is your turn. Don't worry, I am a trustworthy person. We said one each, so one each. Lin Fan said. Using such a method, he could see how dumb the evil gods were. If he could use the summoning ritual to draw them over. Basically, only Stonehammer and the other evil gods were really dumb and not faking it. Old ancestor Shao didn't want to say anything more. Truthfully, he felt like he had nothing to talk about with this person. With the current situation, their cooperation was still okay and they had some chemistry. He didn't hope to draw many evil gods over. He just needed to grab hold of any chance. The summoning ritual continued. Old ancestor Shao didn't panic at all. So what if the first one was a second-class evil god? Would he not meet a first-class evil god? Not long later. The space shook once more. Evil god aura spread. Lin Fan decisively cut off the evil god tunnel and then smiled. Old ancestor Shao, your luck isn't that good. The evil god that came out seems to be a second-class evil god. Old ancestor Zhao's expression was calm, like there were no fluctuations at all. But a weird glow shone in his eyes. Like he was saying, damn. He was a little unlucky. The second-class evil god that came out didn't understand what the 2 small blood food were talking about. But all of that wasn't important anymore. There was no need for him to understand. Right as he wanted to ask, old ancestor Shao attacked and destroyed the evil god. Sect Leader Lin, it is good that evil gods can come. What else do you need? Old Ancestor Shao smiled and said. He didn't seem to care, but actually, he was thinking that his luck shouldn't be so bad. It seemed like it was an accident. Lin Fan smiled and told him to continue. His luck was not bad. The third one was a first-class evil god. Old Ancestor Shao was a little envious, but he definitely wouldn't show it. Lin Fan kept the blood pearl and said helplessly, Old Ancestor Shao, my luck is just too good. Why are all second-class evil gods on your side? Kiki. Old Ancestor Shao smiled and didn't say anything. Sect Leader Lin, isn't that good? If all second-class evil gods appeared on your side, you would definitely say that there is an inside story. Now, it only means that our cooperation depends on luck. But sometimes my luck can't always be so bad. The moment he said this, Old Ancestor Shao eagerly started to summon evil gods. Don't send more second-class evil gods, he muttered in his heart. There were already a few, and the evil gods would definitely notice the problem. When that happened, it wouldn't be so easy to summon them. The space shook. Evil god aura spread out. Ha ha ha, the noble evil god Locke has sensed your sincere summoning and descended. A giant body appeared in the sky above the summoning ceremony. Hey, this person's luck, it is hard to say. Lin Fan shook his head. He was really impressed by Old Ancestor Zhao's luck. Even if he was unlucky, he shouldn't be so unlucky, right? Although there were 62 second-class evil gods. But no matter what, there were 38 first-class evil gods. Based on probability, it shouldn't be so tragic. At that moment, Old Ancestor Shao couldn't maintain his calm expression and became a little annoyed. Impossible. How was he so unlucky? It didn't make sense. It really didn't make sense. When he heard Lin Fan's teasing words, he nearly exploded. But very quickly, he calmed himself down. Sect Leader Lin, this is just the beginning. There is no rush. Who knows, maybe my luck will come and Sect Leader Lin's luck will turn bad. Old Ancestor Shao said. Right, there is such a possibility. Then, let's wait and see. Maybe it will be exactly as Old Ancestor Shao said. Lin Fan smiled. Old Ancestor Shao took in a deep breath and started the summoning ceremony once more. He prayed in his heart. He hoped that the evil god that Lin Fan summoned was a second-class evil god. Then, he would be able to laugh out loud and laugh in an arrogant manner. Just thinking about it made him excited. But regretfully, when the evil god appeared and Old Ancestor Shao saw that it was a first-class evil god, he didn't want to say a single word. Ayaya, my luck is a little off the charts. Evil gods also look down on others? Lin Fan licked his lips and said helplessly. Old Ancestor Shao was so furious that his face flushed red. Damn fellow. Wasn't he just lucky? He was actually so smug. He really didn't believe that his luck would be so bad. Shortly after, when the evil god appeared, Old Ancestor Shao didn't want to say anything. He didn't even want to hear what the evil god said. Bastard. Chapter 6:14. Deep Abyss. More and more evil gods revived here. Each evil god that revived was furious. It was as if the rage in their hearts was about to explode. Damn thing. They actually dared to do such a thing to the noble evil god. That was unforgivable. But suddenly, the revived evil god noticed that there were other evil gods around which confused them. What was going on? The abyss was just a place to revive, so why were they all here? But to them, being killed by small blood food was an embarrassing matter. So they didn't say anything. Some acted dumb, and some said that they were here to take a look. Only a fool would believe such a reason. Many evil gods believed it. Of course, some evil gods didn't hide it. All of you be careful. A small blood food is summoning us, and anyone who goes will be killed. I hope that when you face such a situation, don't agree. They respected the evil god who spoke the truth. They even dared to say such an embarrassing thing. One had to say that they were really courageous. So, there is such a thing. How can we let these small blood food be so arrogant? But since they came prepared, they are definitely prepared to deal with us. That makes sense. Don't worry about them. There is a need to tell others in case they fall for it. The evil gods were really afraid too. They were like normal people. The main reason was that they were used to being high up. Now that they were suddenly beaten up, they couldn't act anymore. They even wanted to cry. Old Ancestor Shao, this person is really unlucky. From start till now, don't you think it is weird? These first-class evil gods seem to be enemies with me, and I can't even block them. Lin Fan said. But to Old Ancestor Shao, for some reason, he felt like Lin Fan's tone and attitude were asking to be beaten up. He couldn't take it anymore. Before this, Old Ancestor Shao could say that he was just lucky. But why didn't his luck become so bad? He was still able to console himself. But what happened one after another filled Old Ancestor Shao with despair. This wasn't a matter of luck. He was being targeted. Old Ancestor Shao didn't say a word. His body trembled and he stood in front of the summoning ritual. He didn't believe that he would be so unlucky. From start till now, the evil gods that appeared were all second-class evil god. He chanted. He was filled with anticipation. But the surroundings were silent. Not the slightest movement. Lin Fan said, "It seems like we have gone too far. The evil gods have realized that the situation isn't right and they won't come over. They were killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. They didn't even think about the long-term benefit. No matter how stupid the evil god was, he probably knew that something was wrong. You won't even give me a chance?" Old Ancestor Shao muttered and was a little unwilling. He wanted to prove that his luck wasn't so bad, but evil gods didn't give him a chance. Then, he looked towards Lin Fan. After all, the second-class evil god's blood pearl was much weaker. Lin Fan said, "Don't look at me like that. I won't trade with you. Moreover, I am a man of my word. One for each of us. You can't blame anyone for having such bad luck. I can only say that you are too pitiful." Haze. Old Ancestor Shao sighed and silently bore with what had just happened. Lin Fan said, "Stop sighing. You have earned a lot, but what a waste. This method ends here and the evil gods probably won't come again. Apart from this, do you have any other methods?" Old Ancestor Shao shook his head. "No, this is the only way unless we can find where the evil gods are hiding. Evil gods hide too deeply. I have killed so many of them today." Suddenly, Lin Fan looked at the summoning ritual and said, "You are still summoning? What?" Old Ancestor Shao was stunned and didn't understand what Lin Fan meant. "Then, what is going on?" Lin Fan pointed at the summoning ritual. The ritual patterns shone brightly. Such a situation didn't appear before. Old Ancestor Zhao's expression was solemn and his brow furrowed. Instantly, he exclaimed, "Not good, let's go." Old Ancestor Shao thought about it for a while and exclaimed. His eyes opened wide like he had thought about a possibility. Lin Fan didn't hesitate and followed behind Old Ancestor Shao. Old Ancestor Zhao's expression was a little terrifying. He wanted to see what was going on, but he wasn't a fool. Since Old Ancestor Shao was so terrified, the situation definitely wasn't right. At that moment, two streaks of light flashed across. Lin Fan and Old Ancestor Shao ran really quickly and headed into the dimension. Something happened. A weird light exploded from the summoning ritual. In the blink of an eye, the ritual patterns were covered in a purple veil. There seemed to be numerous eyes shining in the veil. Shortly after, a terrifying aura exploded. A palm like that of a mountain reached out and grabbed towards where Lin Fan and Old Ancestor Shao were running toward. The palm passed through numerous dimensions and cracking sounds rang out. Then, he slammed down with his palm, and the entire dimension seemed to be destroyed. Two people fell out from the dimension. Old Ancestor Shao, which evil god's palm is that? It is just too strong. Lin Fan was astonished. They had met a tough opponent. Their escape speed was extremely fast, but they were still beaten out of the dimension. Sect Leader Lin, we are in trouble and it is huge. If I remember correctly, he should be the top evil god postline. I didn't expect that we would actually offend him. Old Ancestor Shao was shocked. He panicked deep down. Logically speaking, if the summoning ritual didn't have something special, it wouldn't attract such a terrifying existence. After all, they didn't have the time to descend. Lin Fan said, "It seems like running is a little difficult, why don't we go all out against him?" Don't have such thoughts. Without Peak Dao Realm Stage 9 cultivation, we won't be able to hold on. Old Ancestor Shao said. At that moment, the giant hand clenched and a terrifying power exploded towards Lin Fan and Old Ancestor Shao. Lin Fan and Old Ancestor Shao felt huge pressure on their bodies. This shocked Lin Fan. He hadn't felt pressure in a long time. Now that pressure appeared once more, it caused the extinguished fighting flames in his body to swell once more. Sect Leader Lin, what are you doing? Old Ancestor Shao turned his head and realized that Lin Fan had stopped. He shouted in panic. Lin Fan stared straight ahead and said, "I'm not running anymore. The feeling of running doesn't feel good. I haven't even fought yet and it's a little embarrassing to run away. I might as well fight first. If I really can't win, I'll run. Moreover, they might not have a chance to run now." This Old Ancestor Shao wanted to slice open Lin Fan's head. Was there a hole in his head? He had already explained it so clearly, so why didn't he believe him? Forget it. Okay, since that is the case, then let's try. Old Ancestor Shao had clashed with Evil God Postline before and knew how terrifying he was. At that moment, Lin Fan's aura reached its peak. He raised his leg and then stomped down. With a crack, endless power exploded from his body and clashed with his aura. Hong Long. When the two powers clashed, they clashed with one another. So strong. This was the first time Lin Fan faced such a situation. But this increased Lin Fan's desire to fight. You do have some ability. Lin Fan hollered and opened his arms. Instantly, the wind surged behind him and power gathered like a flood. When it reached its peak, his arms pushed forwards. Power that was enough to destroy heaven and earth covered and clashed with the evil god's palm. Instantly, a terrifying ripple spread out. Old Ancestor Shao raised his hand and looked at Lin Fan in shock. He didn't expect the kid to be so terrifying. Who knew if he hid his strength when they fought? Gotcha. When Old Ancestor Shao heard the shattering sound, he looked over in disbelief. Evil God Postline's palm actually shattered. How did he do that? Lin Fan was delighted when he saw that. What danger? It was just so-so. But shortly after, he realized that the situation wasn't right. Suddenly, his hair stood up and a sense of danger covered him. Shio. He didn't say a word and just ran. That was too weird. Although he shattered his palm, he felt like he did it on purpose. Sect Leader Lin, where are you going? Old Ancestor Shao shouted. Running. Lin Fan said without turning his head. Old Ancestor Shao was stunned. Didn't you want to fight him to the death? Although that was what he said. But Old Ancestor Shao wasn't slow and followed closely. Fight my ass. Lin Fan finally realized what was wrong. That shattered palm didn't disappear but turned into numerous pieces. Those pieces slowly turned into smaller palms. They were closely packed. These palms stacked together and formed an arc like they were about to wrap up the entire area. Damn. What a cunning evil god. He wanted to trap them in his palms. If they were really trapped by him, there would be a huge problem. Old Ancestor Shao wanted to chase up to Lin Fan, but he realized that Lin Fan ran really quickly. Moreover, he was a little shameless. He didn't even tell him when he fled. Such a person wouldn't have dared to form a team with him in the past, as he was afraid that he would be betrayed. While Lin Fan was escaping, he was gathering his sword intent to the extreme. These sword intents were all formed from Dao patterns. Numerous sword intents floated behind Lin Fan. Dao returning to one. The sword intents merged and formed a unique Dao pattern sword. Slash him. Lin Fan waved his arm and allowed the sword intent to slash the palms that were stacked together. Pili Pala. Sparks shone. At the same time, there was the sound of metal clashing. As expected, it is so terrifying. Even this can't break it. Lin Fan frowned and panicked. This evil god was interesting. He actually knew how to lure the enemy. If he wasn't careful, he would have fallen for it. Once he fell for it, the outcome would be tough to say. After a long while, the palms behind him didn't chase and just slowly disappeared. However, a voice could be heard. Xiao Qin. Chapter 6:15. Phew, I didn't expect there to be such a terrifying evil god. I nearly couldn't leave. Lin Fan smiled and didn't care about those scenes at all. Old ancestor Xiao was helpless. He was able to smile so happily even after facing the unstoppable power of the evil god. It was really admirable. You know that you nearly couldn't leave? I really can't tell from your smile. Old ancestor Xiao said. Ha ha. Lin Fan laughed and then said solemnly, naturally, I have to be happy to meet an opponent. Do you know how I spent the past half a year? Old ancestor Xiao was shocked by Lin Fan's expression and asked curiously, how did you spend it? He really wanted to know. Speaking of which, it really makes me feel helpless. Eating and drinking, doing nothing, wasting my life. Lin Fan sighed. He was filled with regret, like he was ashamed of wasting time. Old ancestor Xiao squinted his eyes and didn't want to talk to Lin Fan. What he said was everyone's dream life. He shouldn't have talked about all this with this kid. There was no meaning to it at all, and he would even suffer a setback. No problem, your opponent is here. That evil god is postline, he is ranked first. He didn't die and knows about our existence. The future will be much more interesting. Sect leader Lin, based on what I see, you need to be careful. If you come here often, you might bump into him. Old ancestor Xiao decided that he had to be careful in the future. He definitely couldn't just walk in. Kiki. Lin Fan smiled and acted like he didn't care. But in his heart, he remembered this fellow. He was indeed a dangerous person. He just reached out with one hand and he could suppress them. If he descended with his true body, the situation wouldn't be good. I want to head to the City of Hope. What do you think? Are you going with me or are you going back? Lin Fan asked. Let's go take a look. It isn't a good thing for these people to borrow the power of evil gods. They might not even know which evil god they are borrowing power from. As for titles, they are fake to the evil gods. They can just randomly pick one. Old ancestor Xiao said. Evil gods were very sinister. Sometimes they would give themselves names, such as Faith of Light and Hope, and so on. These names sounded very high-end, but in fact, there might be some terrifying evil god behind them. Why do you care so much? This is his faith. Lin Fan glanced and felt that old ancestor Xiao cared too much. Speaking of faith, he thought back to his darkness god domain. In the end, this darkness god domain might also be an evil god. The result would make one feel somewhat helpless. Old ancestor Xiao shook his head. Even if he wasn't familiar with the humans here, he still wanted to warn them and let them know that evil gods weren't reliable. Evil god Postline was in a deep abyss. No evil god knew where Postline was hiding. Does the source of your hatred come from him? Postline's body wasn't as huge or as vicious as other evil gods. He appeared in human form but was really gray, like he was covered in a veil. He was ethereal, but one couldn't ignore him. Yes, it's him. A human stood below the stone throne. The abyss was a place where no humans could exist, yet a human had suddenly appeared. It was simply too strange. What was even weirder was that this human was talking to evil god Postline. If Lin Fan was here and saw this person, he would definitely exclaim. Wasn't this Alliance 9-star General G? Who knew that he would appear here? G didn't look any different from half a year ago, but his eyes were burning with rage. Especially when he looked at Lin Fan through the mirror, the rage burned even stronger. He wasn't crazy. He was just pretending to be crazy. At that time, he knew that he would die if he continued, but he wasn't willing to die just like that. Even if the Alliance was taken over by Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island, he didn't come out. That was because all of this wasn't important to him anymore. He just wanted to take revenge. To make Lin Fan pay the price. No one knew how many places G went to and how many legends people made up. He was disappointed time and time again. Finally, he found something that interested him from the only remaining old woman in the Alliance. Summoning Evil God. G didn't know what Evil God was and didn't know whether or not he would succeed. Would he return in disappointment like before? But the old woman told him solemnly that this was something to summon evil beings and would release terrifying demons. At that time, the world would be destroyed and everything would be destroyed. To G, all of this wasn't important anymore. As long as he could take revenge. Even if the world was destroyed, it didn't matter. This summoning evil god didn't summon anything. Instead, it teleported him to the abyss, and in the end, he met evil god Postline. When Postline saw the small blood food come here, his first reaction was shock. Shortly after, he wanted to swallow the blood food. But what shocked Postline was that the small blood food didn't fear him at all. He even sensed extreme rage and hatred from the blood food's body. Noble Postline, why didn't you kill him? With your strength, you definitely wouldn't have a problem. Commander G asked. Don't you think that it would be better if you did it yourself? Postline said, You came to find me and hoped to get help. Now your chance is here. Become an evil god, the vengeance evil god. You will obtain unimaginable power. Commander G's body shuddered. He wanted to take revenge, but the difference in strength was huge. Even if he risked his life, it was useless. Now that the first evil god in front of him wanted him to become the vengeance evil god, naturally, he was emotional. But he was also a bit worried and afraid. Are you afraid? Postline asked. Commander G lowered his head and then said slowly, No. Each time he was afraid, he would think about how his hands were stained with Zhu Daoshan's blood. Under that bastard's pressure, he had no choice but to do so. I can sense the fear in your heart, but this is your only way out. Become an evil god and you will be embraced by the abyss and receive its blessings. You will break away from your weak body and become an undying vengeance evil god. Postline's voice was loud and it struck G's heart. G's heart shook and then he made up his mind. As long as I can take revenge, I am willing to pay any price. G said firmly. He had waited for half a year and suffered. He had nothing and the only thing he had was this body. Postline said, Don't be nervous, it isn't that difficult. To you, you just need to accept the abyss and it won't disappoint you. Shortly after, Postline tossed a beating black heart to G. This is the heart of the abyss. Eat it and accept the embrace of the abyss. You will have nothing to do with your past self, and you will become the new evil god. G's eyes opened wide and he looked at the beating heart in his hand. He hesitated for a moment. I know that you have a goal. There isn't such a good thing in the world, but my request is simple. I hope that I can personally take revenge. G said slowly. The moment he said this, G swallowed the black heart without hesitation. At the start, he didn't feel anything weird. But shortly after, G's pupils constricted. His heart was beating really quickly and the sound spread into his ears. Hong, hong, hong. It stunned him so much that he was in a daze. Evil God Postline smiled and saw G's changes. Open your arms and accept the embrace of the abyss. You will feel joy that you have never felt before. At that moment, the abyss shook. To G, it was like many pairs of eyes were staring at him from the abyss. Shortly after, The aura of the abyss spread out and instantly wrapped up G. Not long later, there were screams of pain. G was being modified by the abyss energy. He felt like his body was tearing apart. No. It wasn't like, but he was really tearing apart. He was going to be reborn and form a new body. His original body would be abandoned. Evil God Postline listened to the screams and was expressionless. This was a normal situation when one was being modified by the abyss. Kacha. Kachi. All sorts of weird sounds spread out. And in this strange sound, there was G's excited voice mixed with it. How strong is this a new life? City of Hope. To be able to have a safe place in such a situation, the people living here are lucky. But they are also unlucky. They are like animals raised in cages. Old Ancestor Shao exclaimed. They were like that in the past, but luckily they had many experts and suppressed the evil god. Although the price they paid was huge, it was worth it. Lin Fan didn't bother about Old Ancestor Shao and walked to the entrance of St. Hall. The guards at the entrance of the sacred hall naturally recognized Lin Fan and immediately went in to inform the Holy Lord. Sect leader Lin. Naturally, Mo Fu was happy to see Lin Fan. He then looked at the guy beside Lin Fan and asked curiously, "This is?" "Who he is isn't important. I came to see how all of you are and whether or not you faced any problems." Lin Fan asked. Old Ancestor Shao had an urge to beat Lin Fan to death. He didn't care about him at all. That was a little too much. Mo Fu said, "There is no problem. Since Fallen City invaded, nothing else happened. Actually, even if there was something, it was hard for them to find out. It wasn't convenient to send information." Suddenly, Mo Fu's heart shook and he sensed something. He raised his head and looked into the sky. There was nothing to see and it was just gray. But his pupils slowly dilated and occupied his entire eye. "What happened?" Lin Fan asked. Sect leader Lin, something happened. "There is one more evil god." Mo Fu said. Lin Fan didn't care. So what if there is one more? It isn't a big deal. To him, other than a few terrifying ones, the rest of the evil gods weren't much. No, it isn't so simple. Mo Fu shook his head and his expression was one of terror. Chapter 6:16. There is indeed a problem. There are a total of 100 evil gods, along with the 3 pillar gods and 5 ancient gods, there are 108. It won't decrease and it won't increase. That is the law. Now that there is one more, this matter is really weird. Old Ancestor Shao said solemnly. He didn't care about Mo Fu's stunned gaze at all. "How do you know so much?" Mo Fu asked. If they dared to say that they understood evil gods second, then no one would dare to say that they understood them better. Looking at his attire, it was obvious that he wasn't from here, so how did he know? Old Ancestor Shao said, "When we fought the evil gods, all of you didn't even appear. I understand evil gods more than all of you. He just climbed out of his coffin not too long ago," Lin Fan said. Mo Fu was stunned. He recalled what Old Ancestor Shao said and then asked eagerly, "What happened then?" "Naturally, that is the outcome now," Old Ancestor Shao said. "Haze, that's true. Evil gods can't die. Even if we kill them, they will revive in the abyss." Mo Fu was helpless. He didn't know how to deal with evil gods in the future. If they continued to resist, one day they would be destroyed. But to kill evil gods was impossible. Old Ancestor Shao thought back to what Lin Fan said. They used the power of evil gods to defend against evil gods. This method was filled with uneasiness. You are using the power of evil gods to defend against evil god. I think that this is a really dangerous method. Maybe one day all of you will face irrecoverable problems. I advise all of you to give up on such dangerous actions. It is more reliable to cultivate one's own strength. Old Ancestor Shao used his experience to tell Mo Fu about the disadvantages of using evil god's power. Hayes. Mo Fu sighed, we have no choice. If not for evil gods' power, we wouldn't have the 12 holy cities. We would have died to evil gods. Even if we want to stop now, it is too late. Old ancestor Shao wanted to help but couldn't. It seemed like no one cultivated in the blood food world. In the end, evil gods lent their power to them to let them see the last bit of hope. Now, it was deeply rooted and it was impossible to change it. After which, the two of them stayed in City of Hope for a period of time before leaving. Insect Valley. If you bring me to Insect Valley, aren't you afraid I will wipe you out? Lin Fan wanted to head to Insect Valley. Old ancestor Shao wanted to rush back. Although it was a second-class evil god's flesh pearl, it was still second-class. It was better than nothing. Old ancestor Shao took a look. Sect leader Lin, don't you want to know whether or not this blood pearl is safe? It is good to take a look and you can be at ease. Moreover, Insect Valley didn't offend you. You also learned the bug controlling technique, so you are half an Insect Valley person. Are you really prepared to kill your master? You sure know how to bullsh *t. To think that you can even link this together. Lin Fan chuckled. Naturally, he didn't think about doing anything to Insect Valley. He really wanted to see whether or not the blood pearl was useful and whether or not old ancestor Shao lied to him. Old ancestor Shao led the way and the Insect Valley disciples were all there. They all knew who old ancestor Shao was. Elder Zhua told them that Insect Valley's old ancestor had returned. This shocked all the disciples. Old ancestor. What kind of concept was that? Valley head, old ancestor is back and he even brought Lin Fan. Zhualai was shocked. He hadn't seen Lin Fan before but his name was like thunder to his ears. Insect Valley moved here because of him. Follow me to welcome him. Valley head got up and said. Zhualai followed behind. He raised his head and looked at Valley head's back. He felt like Valley head had his own thought. Outside. Welcome old ancestor. Valley head and Zhualai shouted. Let me introduce you. You should be familiar with this sect leader Lin. Old ancestor Shao smiled. Old ancestor, naturally, sect leader Lin's name is like thunder to my ears. Zhualai replied. The first time he saw Lin Fan, Zhualai's heart shook. He was much younger than he expected. Moreover, he was actually so strong. He had no idea how the other party managed to cultivate. Sect leader Lin. Valley head cupped his fists and smiled. At the same time, he was shocked. He sensed the aura of the bug controlling technique from him, and it was at the peak. This shocked him greatly. I didn't expect Insect Valley to actually move here. Actually, you don't have to be so afraid. I really didn't want to do anything to you, Lin Fan said. But suddenly, a disharmonious voice spread over. Rage points plus 999. Valley head said, Sect leader Lin's strength is unparalleled. The 4 alliances were chased away, so how can we not move? Lin Fan smiled. He didn't expect this fellow to actually give him rage points. This was something he didn't expect. Looking at the calm and friendly expression on the other party's face, it was as if he was really very friendly. If not for the small support system, he might have been cheated. You are right. If you don't move, maybe one day I will react and Insect Valley will be wiped out. Lin Fan smiled and then looked towards Shao Qin. When that happens, old ancestor Shao will feel bad and he might even fight me to the death. Haha. Old ancestor Shao laughed out loud. After this period of interaction, he realized that this kid's words were really unpleasant. Normally, if one had a bad attitude they would just explode on the spot. However, to the Valley Master, although he still had a smile on his face, his trembling fingers revealed his true thoughts. Rage points plus 999. Zhualai smiled. Old ancestor wasn't angry, so what did he have to be angry about? Sect leader Lin and I entered evil godland and killed many evil gods. We obtained key items that can help you open up Tao Realm Stage 8. Each of you consume one, and you will be able to see the path ahead. Old Ancestor Shao said, and then took out 2 blood pearls. Valley Head and Zhualai looked at the things in Old Ancestor's hands in surprise. But this item looked a little weird. Old Ancestor, can we really consume this? Zhualai asked. Of course, but your cultivation isn't enough and you need to cultivate for a period of time. But after you consume it, it can open up the path ahead for you. Old Ancestor Shao said. Zhualai didn't even think about it and just swallowed one. He really didn't suspect whether or not Old Ancestor was trying to harm him. If he really wanted to harm him, then why did he need to go through so much trouble? His throat moved. Zhualai closed his eyes and sensed it. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and joy appeared on his face. I see it, I really see it. Old Ancestor, I really see the path ahead. So quick? You don't have to act like that, right? Lin Fan was shocked and filled with disbelief. How long had it been? Wasn't it a little too quick? It seems like that is the case. Old Ancestor Shao nodded and passed the remaining one to Valley Head. He then took out all the pearls on his body and crushed them before scattering them into the sky. These are all Tao pattern laws. Since there is enough, then let them return to the world. Although there are few, at least they exist. He did this because he wanted the world to return to how it was in the past. Sect Leader Lin, now you should believe me, right? Old Ancestor Shao asked. He knew that Lin Fan didn't believe him. Now that Zhualai personally consumed it, if he still had any doubts, then he had nothing to say. That seems true, Lin Fan said. Just at that moment. Old Ancestor, I am about to break through. Valley Head just swallowed the pearl and the door to Tao Realm Stage 8 opened. His strength was already at peak Tao Realm Stage 7, and when the path ahead was fully opened, it was time for him to advance. Old Ancestor Shao nodded his head in satisfaction. Valley Head was really talented. He had been stuck at Tao Realm Stage 7 for a long time and should have broken through to Tao Realm Stage 8 long ago. But unfortunately, if the Tao pattern laws weren't missing, maybe with his talent, he would have reached peak Tao Realm Stage 8. He was just a step away from Tao Realm Stage 9. Lin Fan looked at Valley Head. His aura was climbing and he had indeed broken through. But the Tao patterns didn't change. Thinking about it, the Tao pattern laws were missing, so how could the Tao patterns change? It was just that his strength increased to Tao Realm Stage 8. Not bad, you did become a little stronger. Lin Fan praised in a gratified manner. It was as though he was a senior looking at the improvement of the younger generation as he revealed a fatherly smile. Valley Head noticed Lin Fan's weird smile and rage rose in his heart. But because Old Ancestor was beside him, he suppressed the rage. Old Ancestor, my strength reached Tao Realm Stage 8, but the Tao patterns didn't change, and there are no new characteristics. Valley Head said. Old Ancestor Shao said, that is normal. The Tao pattern laws are missing and we don't have enough laws to make up for it. But it is okay. One day we will be able to make up for it. Lin Fan didn't understand the situation they were facing. He had a small support system and breaking through had its own effect. Tao Realm Stage 8 needed Tao pattern laws but he didn't need them. Old Ancestor Shao, I will leave first. If there is anything, contact me. Think about whether or not there is a way to kill the evil god. Lin Fan said. He then left Insect Valley. This thing was really useful. He was going to give it to his father and the others, to let them become Tao Realm Stage 8 experts. Old Ancestor Shao looked at Lin Fan's back view and was thinking about something. The blood food world that the evil gods occupied was more complete. Who knew whether or not he could use that world's complete system to raise his cultivation? But the problem was that the blood food world that the evil gods occupied wasn't a Tao realm law world. If he really wanted to borrow it, that would be the same as coming into contact with a foreign cultivation system. It would be really difficult and even impossible. Valleyhead and Jualai sent Old Ancestor to rest. Until Old Ancestor left, Jualai wanted to talk to Valleyhead, but he didn't know what to say. Chapter 6:17. What do you want to ask? Valleyhead saw that Jualai wanted to say something, so he asked. Jualai walked forwards and said softly, Valleyhead, should we tell Old Ancestor about Monster Emperor? After all, Monster Emperor's formation was an accident. At the same time, he changed the bug controlling technique. That isn't a small matter. You don't have to worry about this. I know what to do. Valleyhead kept silent for a moment and walked into the distance. Jualai wanted to chase, but a voice spread into his ears. You city Fanner, I was shocked and thought that something huge had happened. Who knew that the path ahead that I couldn't see would become clear? When Lin Fan came back, before he could tell his father about the blood pearl, his father told him something that made him a little confused. How was that possible? How could father see the path ahead? Suddenly, he thought about a possibility. Old Ancestor Shao shattered the remaining blood pearls and allowed the Tao pattern laws to return to heaven and earth. Although there was little and it couldn't change heaven and earth, at least it proved that there were Tao pattern laws in the world. Father was too strong and was a peak expert in Tao Realm Stage 7, so he was more sensitive than anyone else. Thus, when a thread of Tao pattern laws merged into heaven and earth, his father had already caught it. One had to say that it was amazing. It was so strong that it was a little scary. Father, try it again. Lin Fan took out the first-class Evil God blood pearl and shattered it in front of his father. Instantly, Tao pattern laws spread out. Father was stunned for a moment, like he didn't expect that Tao pattern laws would appear. But he couldn't think too much about it. He absorbed the Tao pattern laws right away. Shortly after, Father's aura became more and more terrifying. It was like a pile of firewood being lit. As it burned, the flames swelled up. I broke through, but unfortunately, I lack Tao pattern laws. Father said. Lin Fan said, Father, I have no choice. These Tao pattern laws are in the evil god's body, and I got them by killing them. He still had some blood pearls left. These were left for Water Emperor and Su Chongsun. As for returning the Tao pattern laws to heaven and earth, he couldn't do that. He wasn't that noble, and naturally, he was thinking about the people around him. Father, you should think about it first. Your child here is going to look for Yongla first. Lin Fan said. Without saying anything more, he left right away. Lin Wani had already broken through to Tao Realm Stage 8, but he only had strength and didn't have any special abilities. This greatly reduced his strength, and he could only use 30 to 40% of Tao Realm Stage 8 strength. Since Lin Fan was in such a rush, naturally, he wanted to spend some time with Yongla. It was a little cold after going out for a while. I need to have a good warm-up. He had to maintain his body temperature. At night, most of them had already fallen asleep. Lin Fan looked at Yongla, who was sleeping at the side. He covered her with a blanket and got off the bed. He got dressed and pushed the door open. Come out. You want to find me, but you're hesitating and acting like you don't dare to find me. Why? Am I that scary? Lin Fan said to the air. Very soon, a black shadow slowly appeared. It was hard to see what it looked like, but it was just a black shadow. I have long heard of sect leader Lin's name. Now that I see you, you really live up to the rumors. The black shadow said. Stop playing around. Now that I hear such fake words, my head hurts. Get to the point. Why are you not sleeping and looking for me? Lin Fan asked. Okay, then I will be direct. I want to work with sect leader Lin on something. The black shadow paused like he was waiting for Lin Fan's reply. But why would Lin Fan speak so much nonsense to him? He nodded. Continue, I am listening. The black shadow said. I know that sect leader Lin has been searching for traces of evil gods and is also searching for a way to kill them. But one has to say that evil gods can't be killed and they are really problematic. Normal methods are tough to kill them. At the same time, the Tao pattern laws of this world are in the evil god's body. But it is tough to make them return. So, I came to find sect leader Lin to work with you on these two things. As long as we work together, I can ensure that the Tao pattern laws will return. At the same time, those evil gods won't revive. The Black Shadow said what Lin Fan and the others needed to solve. But there was a problem. Was Lin Fan a fool? He definitely wasn't a fool. Tell me who you are first, Lin Fan asked. The Black Shadow said, who I am isn't important. The key is that I can help you and you can help me. It is just so simple. Lin Fan thought about it and said slowly, you are an evil god, right? The Black Shadow was stunned like he couldn't react. He then smiled. How is that possible? The Black Shadow felt a little guilty and found it unbelievable. How did this person know that he was an evil god? Was it a guess? Or could it be that he had exposed himself? You still dare to say no. Although I can't see your face, your nervous expression betrayed you. Since you are here, then let me see who you are. Lin Fan grabbed towards the Black Shadow. With a poochie, he grabbed with his fingers and the Black Shadow cried out. He left the ground and flew towards Lin Fan. But to the Black Shadow, he couldn't be grabbed. He self-destructed. You will regret it. These were the last words the Black Shadow said before he disappeared. Lin Fan shook his head and felt that things had become a little complicated. What was going on with the evil gods? One side wanted to invade and the other wanted to work together. Was there an internal conflict? In the distance, Lin Wani stood there and looked at the situation. When the Black Shadow entered U City, he noticed it but he didn't do anything. He wanted to see what the Black Shadow wanted to do. He didn't expect that. His son was rash and didn't even talk much to him before he killed him. Wasn't that just sowing hatred? Father, nothing. Let's go back to sleep, Lin Fan said. He turned around and continued to hug Yongla to sleep. Was such a life uncomfortable? Why did he have to do such things? It was so boring. Lin Wani didn't care much about it. Evil God Masaki was furious. He didn't expect the cooperation to fail. There was definitely something wrong with Lin Fan's head. If there was nothing wrong, then why did this happen? Guiyuan and Su Yuanming worked with him but their strength couldn't keep up. Naturally, they could suppress some weak evil gods but if they faced some strong ones, then it would be problematic. Moreover, the two of them couldn't be trusted. They were just using one another and being wary of one another. The evil gods had started to invade. But his strength hadn't recovered yet. He had to think of more ideas. Of course, evil god Masaki was searching for other sect leaders to enter evil gods' territory to find evil gods and kill them. Only then would he be able to recover his strength quickly. But all of this was filled with danger. He had to be careful. King Wudong lost himself. Under evil god Masaki's corruption, his remaining consciousness disappeared and he became Masaki's servant. He was also a weak servant. Alliance. The situation there wasn't good. White mist covered a city. Yen Koan and Island Lord Lan Song entered and faced some danger. Many monsters attacked them from all directions. Although these monsters were weak to them, it seemed like they couldn't be killed. After killing one batch, another batch would appear. Moreover, the white mist was spreading. It spread really quickly like it wanted to cover the entire alliance. The alliance headquarters used methods to control the white mist and didn't let it spread. But this wasn't the most terrifying thing. The most terrifying thing was that such things happened in other cities too. Evil god power was everywhere. Many people in the alliance were infected. They were scattered all over and apart from looking weird. If one didn't get close to them, one wouldn't notice anything wrong with them. But once they summoned evil gods, they became terrifying. Temporary headquarters. Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island higher-ups were gathered here. Their expressions were ugly and they were really worried. The alliance was their alliance and they were in charge, so naturally, They couldn't allow such a thing to happen. Yen Kuan, what should we do? We have no idea what is going on. Island head Lan Tsang asked. The other island heads sucked in a deep breath and their expressions were solemn. Yen Kuan said, "We have all been inside. Those are strange creatures we have never seen before, and there are many of them. The citizens are fine hiding in their houses, but as soon as they come out, they will be killed. We have already told the citizens to stay in their houses and sent people to deliver supplies. But that won't do, many of us have died." At that moment, everyone was in deep thought. This matter was a little problematic, and they had never faced such a situation before. They didn't know how to solve it. "Why don't we give up on the city and save the people?" someone suggested. But some people agreed and some people didn't. Just at that moment, someone hurried in. The white mist dissipated. When everyone heard this, they were stunned for a moment. Then, they were overjoyed and immediately rushed over. When they arrived, they noticed that the mist seemed to have a mind of its own. It retracted and retreated into the distance. "What is going on?" Yen Kuan asked. But they didn't know what was going on and they were all lost. Deep abyss. You knew evil god actually dared to stop an old evil god from invading blood food world. But forget it, I will give you face. A monster-like evil god hollered. However, this evil god monster was injured, as if it had just been through a battle. Ji's aura was a little weak and he was badly injured. He had just fought with him. "That is my home. If you dare to invade again, I will fight you to the death." Ji's voice was cold and had no emotions at all. "Scoff, fight to the death. Even if I don't invade, evil gods will. At that time, let's see how you will deal with evil gods stronger than you." The evil god was filled with disdain. P.S. I recommend a book, Full-Time Dad's Entertainment Life. If you are interested, you can take a look. Chapter 6:18. He looked on as the evil god disappeared. Ji heaved a sigh of relief. Shortly after, he felt powerless and all his strength was gone. His goal was simple and he only had one goal. He wanted to take revenge on Lin Fan. But no matter what, the Alliance was his home and he cared about it the most. Even if the Alliance was taken over by Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island, he wouldn't not care about the commoners. "Ji, you have become an evil god. You need to pay attention to your actions." Evil god Postline's voice spread into his ears. He had been paying attention to Ji but didn't expect him to still care about the Alliance. "That shouldn't exist for evil gods," Ji said slowly. "I just don't want the Alliance to be hurt. That is my obsession." Obsession is just obsession. Evil gods feed on weak living beings. As the vengeance evil god, you should know your identity. You aren't a human anymore and shouldn't fight against other evil gods for humans. Postline said. Ji didn't say anything. He was right. He wasn't a human anymore. He gave up his human body and turned into an evil god's body. He was hugged and loved by the abyss. Even deep in his heart, he craved blood. Lin Fan, you are my obsession. After becoming an evil god, he saw the path to stage 8. At the same time, due to his evil god body, he could absorb terrifying power from the abyss and merge it into his body. In just a short while, the new him would appear in front of Lin Fan and make him regret what he did in the past. You city. Lin Fan was thinking about something. He was actually quite strong now. If he hadn't met evil god Postline, that would have been the case. But that encounter made him deeply feel that his strength was not strong enough. He was slightly weak. He had to think of a way to raise his cultivation. Now, the only place he could take advantage of was the Alliance. Half a year passed. Those people who hated him to the bone forgot about their pain and didn't provide him with rage points anymore. This made Lin Fan feel a little helpless. Did they all forget pain so easily? Hubby, what are you thinking about? Yongla walked over and sat in Lin Fan's embrace. she asked curiously. Husband sounded too awkward. Husband sounded more comfortable. Lin Fan hugged her waist and smiled. Nothing, I am just bored and want to cause some trouble over at the Alliance to have some fun. Euphoria smiled. I am afraid that the child will be as naughty as you. What do you mean by naughty? This is called living a nourishing and happy life. In the future, if our child isn't naughty as his father, I will beat him up 3 times a day until he becomes naughty. Lin Fan said. He was quite courageous now. He even dared to dream about having children in the future. Yongla placed her head on Lin Fan's chest and said softly, I like my current life. In the future, I want to have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. We can live peacefully until we grow old. I want the boy to be a knowledgeable person and the girl to be well educated. How about 3 then? One of them can inherit my strength. After all, I've worked so hard to get this territory. Someone has to take it over. Lin Fan said. Although that was the case, the key was where was the territory? Yongla said. I don't like fighting and killing. I will have many enemies and it is just too tiring. Now that brother is the Imperial Dynasty Master, the other few brothers want to be the Imperial Dynasty Master. I feel that it is tiring. It is good that our family is happy, and we don't want to fight for power. The Imperial Dynasty had stabilized a long time ago. With his support, Shao Qi had long sat on the throne of the Imperial Dynasty. What a waste! After such a peaceful life, many people would have thoughts such as everyone wanting to become the Imperial Dynasty Master. But Lin Fan didn't care about all of that at all. With his current ability, he could make anyone he wanted to be the Imperial Dynasty Master. Even if the Imperial Dynasty was scheming against each other, it was useless. As long as he was there, no one would dare to go overboard. Okay, I will listen to you. If we really have kids, we will follow your plan. Lin Fan smiled. That is great. Yongla was shy, but when there was no one around, she was quite bold towards Lin Fan and kissed him. Lin Fan was delighted. Damn. If he knew that having a wife was such a happy thing, he wouldn't have pretended. But that was understandable. He was misled by a bunch of single dogs. They all said that women were bad. It was such that he wasn't interested in women at all. Only now did he understand. A bunch of single dogs not only dared to say that women were bad, but people even dared to listen to them. That was the most terrifying thing. Alliance. I haven't come for half a year. It seems like you have recovered well after the war? Lin Fan came to collect rage points. Although he hadn't come for half a year, he still paid attention to the Alliance. Now, the Alliance was controlled by Ocean Emperor Island and Hell Mountain. These 2 powers were quite skilled. Who knew what was going on with Zhen Ming? This fellow spent a lot of effort to break down the Alliance. Everything that Zhen Ming had done. It was all because of a woman. That woman was something to be proud of. Lin Fan walked on the street. To the normal people, the war affected them a little at the start, but as the regime stabilized, their lives became normal and nothing changed. Why do I have threads of evil god aura? He had come into contact with evil gods many times and was sensitive to evil god aura. It seems like the Alliance is being invaded by evil gods. Lin Fan smiled. He wasn't affected at all and even wanted to laugh. At that moment, a voice that interested him spread out from the big screen on the street. He raised his head and looked. It was a news interview. I don't know what is going on. A white mist covered me and I couldn't see anything. I was so frightened that I hid at home and didn't go anywhere. But some people ran out and then I heard screams. It was so tragic. They definitely faced something. The guy who was being interviewed talked about it. The few strands of hair on his head swayed in the wind like he was telling everyone that he panicked but he survived. Lin Fan thought about it. White mist, that was definitely an evil god invasion. But the white mist dissipated on its own, and he didn't understand what was going on. Were evil gods afraid? They actually retreated. But these things weren't that important to Lin Fan. Look at this person's clothing. He looks like someone from Richland. Half a year ago, it was the people from the Richland who destroyed our Alliance headquarters. Although I didn't see it with my own eyes, I could feel the tremors from far away. The Alliance people didn't dare to call people from Richland natives anymore. They looked down on the natives. But the natives who destroyed the Alliance headquarters were just too terrifying, and their sense of superiority was totally gone. Since Lin Fan appeared out of nowhere and used such forceful methods to destroy the Alliance headquarters, allowing Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island to benefit from it, the two of them were wary of Lin Fan. Not only Lin Fan but all the natives too. They didn't have the courage to go against Lin Fan. Thus, after the regime stabilized, they developed in a well-behaved manner and didn't offend Richland. They hoped that they could forget about them and let them go like they were nothing. What happened to the previous Alliance headquarters was still fresh in their memories. At that moment, what? People from Richland have appeared. When they learned of the news, their heads were about to explode. The fog disaster had just passed and the natives were here once more. They didn't give the Alliance any peace at all. Yen Korn and the others told people to bring the images over. They had to know who had come. At the same time, they prayed, "Please don't let it be that person, otherwise they wouldn't be able to take it." Very quickly, an image appeared on the screen. The noisy environment suddenly quietened down. Everyone exchanged glances with one another and didn't know what to do. The person they were most afraid of was here, and they didn't know what to do. "Guys, what should we do now?" Yen Kuan asked. Island Headland Song said, "It is a problematic matter, but no matter what, we have to understand why he came to the Alliance. Hayes, what a waste. If he died with the Alliance 9-star general, that would have been great. He left behind someone we can't offend." Yen Kuan said. Although the other island heads hadn't fought Lin Fan before, they understood his strength. He was just too strong. He was someone they couldn't offend. "Why don't we meet him? He didn't find trouble with us during this half a year, which means that he acknowledges our existence. What do you all think?" Island Headland Song said. He felt like that was the case. If Lin Fan really wanted to wipe them out, he wouldn't have waited until now. Half a year ago, when they controlled the Alliance, he could have attacked, so why did he wait until now? Thus, to them, Lin Fan shouldn't have come to find trouble with them. Island Headland Song's words make sense. Maybe he isn't here to find trouble with us. The old alliance has ended and we are the new regime. We don't have any thoughts about Richland and we can even trade with them. What a perfect outcome. Very quickly, they came to a consensus, which was to have a good talk with Lin Fan. Maybe they could even become partners. If Lin Fan knew what they were thinking, he would definitely spit out blood. Become good friends. You can forget it. He was here to collect rage points. If they weren't angry, then where would he get rage points from? Could he find people from the 4 alliances? At the same time, there were so few evil gods. Even if he gained rage points quickly, it couldn't keep up with the consumption. At that moment, the people from the alliance were discussing who would talk to Lin Fan. This was a dangerous matter. In the end, Yen Koan and Island Headland Song went while they waited here in case too many people went and Lin Fan thought that they were surrounding him. It wouldn't be good if they misunderstood. Chapter 619. Lin Fan's arrival in the Alliance naturally caused some commotion. In his field of vision, many people were secretly filming him. It should have been a live broadcast. Rage points plus 999. Rage points plus 222. Lin Fan found it weird and didn't expect rage points to strike him. Who was it that hated him? However, it felt good to gain rage points. Maybe because it was a live broadcast, some people who knew who he was saw it. Naturally, many people were furious that he destroyed the Alliance headquarters. The current situation was probably because many people knew who he was when they watched the live broadcast and thought back to what happened in the past. Choosing to come to the Alliance was the right choice. Rage points are really easy to earn. Lin Fan smiled and felt really good. His inexplicable smile caused many people to feel a chill in their hearts. That smile was just too terrifying. Within a few meters, no one dared to get close to Lin Fan. They all stood at the sides of the road and opened up a path for him. Suddenly, a person ran out in front of everyone's astonished gazes. "You damn fellow, go and die." The teen who ran over took out a cleaver that didn't even have a label on it and stabbed towards Lin Fan. Lin Fan raised his hand and grabbed the tip of the cleaver. He smiled. "Kid, don't act cool if you have no ability." Pung! The teen was flipped and rolled to the side of the road. "You killed my brother, so I will take revenge. I will kill you in a while." The teen's eyes turned red and opened wide. He wanted to charge over, but the people at the side of the road pressed down on his arms and legs such that he couldn't move at all. Rage points +1. Maybe he was really furious. A teen with no cultivation at all provided some rage points to prove that he wasn't trash and that he could give you rage points. "Who is your brother?" Lin Fan asked. When the teen heard this, his heart was heavily injured. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. He didn't even know when he killed his brother. It should have been caused by the star-level energy that exploded in the Alliance headquarters. After all, it was a little intense. Many people died. What are you all looking at? Actually, there is nothing to look at. Half a year ago, I destroyed the Alliance headquarters. Your Alliance is too weak and no one came to take revenge on me. That really disappoints me," Lin Fan said. Lin Fan's arrogance spread out through the live broadcast. Rage points increased. The former Alliance was deeply rooted in people's hearts. Many experts acknowledged the former Alliance and had no interest in the current Alliance securities. They had never thought about reviving the former Alliance. After all, that would have a really bad influence. Therefore, they all lived in seclusion among ordinary citizens. Lin Fan's appearance had brought out the anger hidden in their hearts. However, he only dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. It was tough for Lin Fan to accumulate rage points. If he had known this would happen when he dealt with the 4 alliances, he should have played with them and not displayed too much strength right away. Otherwise, this situation wouldn't have happened. Someone's coming. Lin Fan raised his head and looked over. There were 2 auras sweeping over from afar. They were experts and not just any ordinary people. Did the Alliance send experts to stop him? It should be impossible. Lin Fan soared into the skies and headed into the distance. Soon, he saw 2 figures appear. "Sect Leader Lin, I am Yen Kuan. Welcome to the Alliance." Yen Kuan smiled and cupped his fist. His smile was like a blooming flower. Was he so realistic? "Sect Leader Lin, I am Lan Song. A long time ago, we wanted to head to Rich Land to meet you, but due to some reasons, we weren't able to. Now that Sect Leader Lin has personally come to the Alliance, it is such an honor." Island Head Lan Song smiled. Even if he was far away, he could sense Yen Kuan and Island Head Lan Song's sincerity. The start was so friendly, which made things tough for him. His head hurt. "The 2 of you don't have any problems with me? After all, our relationship isn't that good and we even have some hatred. Did you forget?" Lin Fan asked. He hoped to turn the situation around. His tone was more aggressive and they felt insulted. They couldn't take it anymore and fought him head-on. That was the outcome he wanted. Yen Kuan and Island Head Lan Song looked at one another. Eye contact. They were most afraid that Lin Fan would purposely pick on them. "Ha ha ha, Sect Leader Lin, how is that possible? How can we have any problems with you?" Yen Kuan said. Island Head Lan Song continued. "Right, we can't have an issue with Sect Leader Lin. The previous Alliance government was just too much. We are a family and should live in harmony, help one another and tolerate one another. But they actually want to invade Richland. We can't accept that. Hold on. Aren't you guys way too shameless? Back then, I remember that both of your powers had sent people over. But now, you guys are lying through your teeth. Are you guys so shameless because you're afraid of my strength? Lin Fan said. His words were a little harsh on the ears. He didn't care about the other party's face at all. Those who were slightly more hot-tempered, they would explode on the spot. They would just shout that they were going to stop acting and fight him head-on. Sect Leader Lin, this. Yen Koen and Island Head Lan Song smiled awkwardly. At the same time, they felt a little bad. Lin Fan's words were direct, and he didn't give them any face at all. Rage points plus 999. Rage points plus 999. As expected. The two of them were furious, but for their lives and the stability of the alliance government, they were really fake. This was a good thing for Lin Fan. He didn't think about what to do to the alliance. If he really wiped out the alliance, then he would have nowhere to get rage points. Stop all this and that. Just tell me the truth. Did you see that I am afraid? Lin Fan asked. Yen Koen said, Sect Leader Lin, what do you mean? Our alliance really wants to build a good relationship with Richland. What happened in the past is the alliance's matter, and has nothing to do with us now. We are really sincere. Yen Koen didn't reply to Lin Fan's words. After all, no matter what, they were the peak existences of the alliance government. If they said that they were afraid, then that would be just too embarrassing. Don't talk about sincerity. Just answer my question. Are you afraid? Lin Fan asked. It was obvious that he wouldn't stop until he got an answer. Ha, right, we are afraid, we are really afraid. To build a good relationship with Richland and to win Sect Leader Lin's favor, we will do whatever Sect Leader Lin says. We are indeed afraid. Island Head Lan Song smiled. Rage points plus 999. Rage points plus 999. He was using a smile to cover the rage in his heart. At the same time, he was passing his goodwill to Sect Leader Lin. They really wanted to build a good relationship with Richland. Lin Fan felt the rage points surging towards him, and he felt really happy. But he could ensure that. Now, the alliance didn't have the strength to fight him. But as long as they had that strength, the alliance would definitely stretch their hands into Richland. Forget it. Look at all of you. I don't need to say anything to know. Lin Fan was impatient and said, How are you going to welcome me when I come to the alliance? Island Head Lan Song smiled. Naturally, we will give you the highest treatment. Please follow me. Many people are waiting for Sect Leader Lin to come. Lin Fan smiled and didn't say much. The alliance was decent and he could use it as a long-term rage point harvesting station. Many people in the alliance hated him. There was no doubt about that. Yen Koen stood there in rage. He clenched his fists, but facing Lin Fan, he could only give a fake smile. He had no choice. He couldn't beat him, and if he fought him head-on, one didn't need to think to know the outcome. He would definitely die. He was unwilling. They were high above and didn't need to suck up to others. Alliance headquarters. Everyone was waiting. They felt really uneasy. In the past, the Alliance had been eyeing rich land aggressively and wanted to occupy it. Now that the chance came, even Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island were able to get a share of the loot. They felt really good. But the situation changed too quickly. The Alliance, who had the upper hand, was now unable to fight back at all. Moreover, they were defeated by one person. If Lin Fan had any thoughts about them, then what could they use to fight him? They are here, they are back. Someone exclaimed. Instantly, everyone raised their heads and looked over. In the distance, Yen Koen and Island Head Lan Song followed beside Lin Fan and headed towards the Alliance headquarters. They were really quick and in just a short while they would arrive. Everyone, when the other party arrives, you should know what to do. Smile, you must smile. You must not let the other party feel that we have any hostility. Otherwise, if we mess things up, you should know what kind of consequences we will face. Lin Fan was a demon king in their hearts. They couldn't offend him. Sect leader Lin, we are here. After Yen Kuan's feet landed, he smiled. And not bad, it is still the original Alliance headquarters. I didn't expect you to rebuild it back. Lin Fan smiled. But to Yen Kuan, that smile was a little terrifying. He was really afraid that sect leader Lin would be rash and destroy the Alliance headquarters. When that happened, the situation would be really awkward. He would scold him. The outcome would be simple, he would be killed by him. If he kneeled down and licked his boots, it would be too embarrassing. He would have placed all his face on the ground and stepped on. The Alliance higher-ups all walked over with smiles on their faces. Welcome sect leader Lin to the Alliance. They felt that today was the brightest day in their lives. Hayes, look at your smiles, each one is more fake than the other. I really don't know what to say to all of you. Lin Fan said in disdain. Awkward. The atmosphere suddenly froze. Rage points plus 999. Rage points plus 999. Damn. Too much. That was what everyone was thinking. That was just too much. We humbled ourselves and greeted you with a smile, and this is how you respond? If his cultivation wasn't weaker than his, he would have smashed his head. Chapter 620. Lin Fan knew that they were furious, but he could only bury it in his heart. But rage points wouldn't be hidden. Look at the notifications. It was just a little terrifying. There was no one present who wasn't angry. Island Head Lan Song smiled. Sect leader Lin, they are really welcoming you. There is no falsehood. The former alliance is the former alliance. Now that we are in charge of the alliance, we have been promoting good relations with our neighbors in the rich land. The unhappiness in the past has all disappeared. Moreover, if we notice that people are spreading bad things about the rich land, we will arrest them right away. Island Head Lan Song tried really hard to make Lin Fan stop wanting to kill them. If his strength was on the same level as Lin Fan, the situation wouldn't be like this. They would have fought right away and a war would have been unavoidable. Kiki. Lin Fan smiled and comprehended what he meant. He then looked at everyone else. I know that all of you are unhappy, but it is useless. The gap between us is too huge. Lin Fan said. Everyone smiled and their faces were filled with confusion. How were they unhappy? They were insulted by Lin Fan and they could still take it. That was really amazing. In comparison, these people were just too weak. They couldn't compare to Zhu Daoshan and the others at all. They were really stubborn and even if they couldn't win, they didn't fear at all. Wu Zhiga died so unjustly. Zhu Daoshan died so tragically. Although he was an enemy, he respected him. Sect leader Lin, why don't we take a look inside? Yen Kuan smiled and said, Okay. Lin Fan nodded and followed their arrangements. Anyway, he wasn't in a rush to get rage points. Maybe he would gain a lot from this trip to the Alliance. Under the lead of Yen Kuan and the others, Lin Fan walked in. There were people standing outside and they didn't follow in. After confirming that they left, the faces of the higher-ups turned dark and sunken. Damn, this kid is too arrogant. He doesn't care about us at all. We have no choice. He is stronger than us and even if all of us attack together, we won't be his match. The Alliance can't take a war, so we can only let him be. This is too depressing. Tell me, when have you ever felt so dejected? Alright, let's not talk about this for now. Even if it's humiliating, we have to endure it. They were furious at Lin Fan but the situation didn't allow them to fight back. If they really shouted at Lin Fan, maybe Lin Fan didn't even need to attack. Yen Kuan and the others might personally suppress them to appease their rage. Time passed quickly. Lin Fan looked around the Alliance. While Yen Kuan accompanied them, he went to the bathroom 3 times. Even though the reason was that he needed to pee, he was actually washing his face at the sink to calm the anger in his heart. At the same time, he kept warning himself, Hold it in. You must endure it. With their current strength, it was impossible for them to defeat Lin Fan. He gained a lot of rage points. As long as he saw someone, he would fight them. He didn't even let off those with a bit of strength. One could say that he was really cruel. Even the girl was the same, and he even made the girl cry. The corner of Island Lord Lan Song's mouth twitched. He cursed in his heart. Are you still King Human? He doesn't even let girls off. Isn't he a little too detestable? How did the Alliance deal with the White Mist a while ago? Under the lead of Island Lord Lan Song and the others, after touring the Alliance headquarters, Lin Fan was prepared to ask about the White Mist. He knew that it was caused by evil gods, but he wanted to know how much the Alliance knew. Or was it that they were confused and didn't know how it was formed? Island Lord Lan Song was pent up and gave Lin Fan a lot of rage points. He thought that he would be humiliated once more, but he didn't expect that Lin Fan would actually care about this matter. This shocked Island Lord Lan Song and the others. Sect Leader Lin, we have no way to deal with the White Mist. The entire city was covered and monsters appeared. For some reason, the White Mist disappeared on its own. Island Lord Lan Song said. Lin Fan thought about it. If I am not wrong, evil gods did it. Evil gods. Island Lord Lan Song was stunned. It was obvious that he didn't know what evil gods were. The surrounding higher-ups were the same. Sect Leader Lin, please tell me what happened. You might not know, but after the White Mist covered, tens of thousands of people died. If not for the White Mist retreating and the delay, everyone in the city would have died. Island Head Lan Song asked. The foundation of the Alliance was the people. Half a year ago, the star-level energy exploded and caused numerous deaths. It affected the Alliance greatly, and after half a year of rest, things got better. It would take at least several years for him to completely recover. I didn't want to tell you because I am annoyed with all of you. But those normal people are innocent and I can't not care. Lin Fan couldn't bear to see normal people die. After all, no matter where one was, there would be good and bad people. Sect Leader Lin is righteous. Island Lord Lan Song cupped his fists. Lin Fan said, evil gods come from another world and they call this place Blood Food World. They mainly pollute our bodies and minds. At the same time, people who are polluted will open up evil god tunnels. The white mist covering your city is probably because someone was polluted by evil gods and opened up the tunnel, right? Indeed, at that time there was an artist whose painting was really strange. After a buyer bought his painting, the entire family went crazy. Later on, when they investigated and prepared to arrest that artist, a white mist appeared and quickly covered the city. Island Master Lan Song said. Yes, he has been contaminated by the evil god. However, it is easy to prevent it. I will send people to deliver the statues after a while. You just need to place each statue in the city. Lin Fan was prepared to use the statues as a medium to open up the light barrier to protect these cities. Evil gods loved to pollute and swallow humans, so naturally, he couldn't allow them to do that. If the entire alliance was infected by evil gods, then things would be huge. The rich land was well protected by him, but the alliance was broken through by the evil gods. When that happened, the situation that they faced wouldn't be comfortable. Thank you, Sect Leader Lin. Island Lord Lan Song thanked him once more. This trip to the alliance is not bad. I will return after a period of time. But truthfully, your acting skills are just too bad. Lin Fan was filled with disdain. He waved his hands and didn't want to say anything more before leaving. Rage points plus 999. Rage points plus 999. Lin Fan had viciously offended everyone in the Alliance headquarters, and it felt really good for him to slack off. Island Lord Lan Song wanted to say something, but Lin Fan had already left. One couldn't even see his back view. Damn. After confirming that Lin Fan had left, the other higher-ups of the Alliance headquarters were furious. Yen Kun took in a deep breath. That damn fellow is just lawless. I have been holding it in for so long and I nearly died. Lan Tsang, I have to respect you. You really can take it. They were really impressed that Lan Tsang could talk to Lin Fan until now. Was that kid's words even something a human would say? He probably didn't even treat them as humans. Island Lord Lan Tsang raised his hands to tell them to calm down. He said, "Actually, at the start I was furious like all of you. But after coming into contact with him, I realized that he isn't that hard to get along with. At the same time, he is kinder than us. It isn't scary that he says nasty things, what is scary is that he is cruel." Are you kidding me? Isn't that hard to get along with? Think about it, since the kid came here, has he said a single good word? He treats us like we are invisible, scolding and humiliating us whenever he wants. No matter what, we are the higher-ups of the Alliance. Another island lord was furious. He didn't know what Lan Tsang was thinking. He actually felt that the kid was decent. Damn it. Island Lord Lan Tsang smiled. In the future, all of you will understand. Remember my words, if we want our alliance to exist forever, then don't offend him. If not, we won't be able to handle the consequences. Yen Kuan was unwilling. Once we become strong and surpass him, then what will he say? Yen Kuan. Island Lord Lan Tsang looked at Yen Kuan and his expression was solemn. I think you shouldn't have such thoughts. I thought about what one of our scholars said. Humans are repeaters and love to let history repeat itself. When the alliance was strong, Lin Fan was weak, but at that time, they had already started fighting. Now that the alliance has been wiped out, we have seized the chance to become the new alliance's rulers. Do you want history to repeat itself and for us to become the former alliance? Is it as serious as you say? Yen Kuan was filled with disbelief. Island Lord Lan Tsang said, "Trust me." Hee, not bad, the gains are amazing. Lin Fan looked at the rage points and was really satisfied. If he had a chance, he would definitely come to the alliance to earn more. At the same time, he passed the content to the believers and told them to bring the statue to the alliance headquarters. He just needed a thought to do all of this. He didn't need much trouble at all. Suddenly, Mo Fu's voice spread into his ears. Sect Leader Lin, come quickly. Lin Fan was confused and didn't know what happened to Mo Fu. But thinking about how dangerous it was, they were surrounded by evil gods and were living in the cracks. He wanted to return to U City, but it seemed like he couldn't. He changed his path. City of Hope. When Lin Fan came to St. Hall, Mo Fu was already waiting at the entrance. When he saw Lin Fan, Mo Fu headed forwards with a solemn expression. Sect Leader Lin, something happened. Lin Fan frowned. What happened? Could it be that the evil god has made a move and is preparing to attack the 12 holy cities? Sect Leader Lin, how did you know? Mo Fu opened his eyes wide and asked with a weird expression. Lin Fan. Chapter 6:21. How did he know? Could he say that he guessed blindly? Moreover, apart from evil gods, there didn't seem to be anything good that could happen here. Evil God really wants to attack the 12 cities? Lin Fan asked. This was indeed a serious matter, but to him this was also an opportunity. He knew the use of evil gods. The blood pearls hidden in their bodies could help them break through to stage 8 and even stage 9. At the same time, they could allow Tao pattern laws to merge into heaven and earth once more. They would be able to reopen the path to the peak. I just received news that the evil gods have gone mad and summoned the slave army to wipe out the 12 cities. Such a thing has never happened before. Mo Fu's expression was solemn and he panicked. He was panicking to death. It was like the sky was collapsing. He didn't know what to do. Thus, he thought about Lin Fan right away. What is going on now? Lin Fan asked. They shouldn't have attacked yet, otherwise it wouldn't be like this. Mo Fu definitely wouldn't be so free to talk about such things here. Mo Fu was worried, Based on the news I just received, the evil god's slave army has gathered and is heading towards the 12 cities. There are dozens of them. This is a really terrifying force. I am afraid we can't block them. How could Mo Fu not be afraid of the evil gods? Just thinking about it made him feel terrified. Dozens of evil gods. Be it a first-class evil god or a second-class evil god, they weren't something the 12 holy cities could defend against. Along with those evil god slaves, it was indeed a terrifying force. Maybe I can earn another wave, Lin Fan muttered. Mo Fu was terrified and was about to pee his pants, but he actually wanted to use those evil gods to earn rage points. That was just too much. Sect leader Lin, what should we do now? Mo Fu asked. He had tried to find the evil god that lent them power, but there was no reply. Without the help of evil god, what could they use to fight them? Even if they used their heads, they wouldn't be able to block them. What else can we do? We have to fight them. If we are afraid, they will be insatiable. Only by hurting them can we protect the existence of the city. Lin Fan said. Mo Fu was in a tough spot, but how are we going to fight them? It is already not easy to defend the city. Lin Fan patted Mo Fu's shoulder and said solemnly, sometimes if you don't try, how will you know? Find out which city is the evil gods prepared to attack first? Sect leader Lin, follow me. Mo Fu said. Inside the sanctum. The evil god slave army will gather here and then head south. Based on this route, the first place should be the City of Light. Mo Fu pointed at the route on the map and said. Lin Fan took a look and smiled. Your City of Hope is really lucky. Based on this order, aren't you the last city? Mo Fu was helpless, Sect leader Lin, don't say that. If the lips die, the teeth will be cold. In the end, it will still be our City of Hope's turn. Looking at Mo Fu's current state, he felt really bad. He even had the heart to die. Something like this happened out of the blue. It made him feel a little desperate. Sect leader Lin, please help us. Without the help of the evil gods, we won't be able to block them. Mo Fu's eyes were filled with emotions, like he wanted to use his emotions to touch Lin Fan. Towards such a gaze, Lin Fan felt a chill down his spine. Was this old fellow going to sacrifice himself so that he could fight the evil gods? It was tough to swallow. Don't worry, leave this to me, Lin Fan said. It was rare for him to encounter such a situation, so how could he give up? He had to fight the evil gods head-on. City of Light. The people who were already forced to a corner by the evil gods were now facing the full invasion of the evil god. This caused the death energy above their heads to become thicker and thicker. Sir D, the evil god slave army is half a day away from us. A male carried 2 crossed swords on his back. He looked really majestic. How are the arrangements for the people? Di Chio asked. The evil god army was here, and they had no hope of surviving. But no matter what, they had to live. Even if they were weak, it was better than being killed by the evil god. I am making arrangements. They are split into 13 groups and are hiding in the cellars. I just hope that they can survive. The male's voice was thick. Maybe because he knew that the evil gods were here, his voice was trembling. Di Chio was the strongest expert in City of Light St. Hall, and he was also the person in charge. But now, he looked really tired and much older. That's good. Di Chio nodded and then looked at the people in St. Hall. I know that all of you are afraid because we are facing the evil god army. But the reason why the 12 cities were able to survive until now isn't because of strength or evil gods. It is because of our courage. We might die in this battle, but death isn't scary. One day, our descendants will recover the world we lost. What we need to do now is to prepare to fight against the evil god army. His voice was really loud. Even if they died, they didn't fear anything. Yes, we are prepared. Everyone hollered in rage. Their voices shook the sky and spread throughout St. Hall. The next day, the trembling sound reverberated outside the City of Light. The entire ground was shaking. There was a black patch outside the city. There were all sorts of evil god servants, and they all looked like monsters. Their roars reverberated and spread into the city of light, shocking everyone. On the city walls, the warriors of the City of Light looked at the black patch outside, and their expressions became really solemn. Some were too afraid and their legs were trembling. They didn't expect there to be so many of them. Do we have a chance of winning? Someone was stunned. Anyone who saw this knew that they had no chance of winning. They might even die a horrible death. Behind the evil god army were dozens of evil gods. They didn't attack the city for no reason. But during this period of time, they faced the most unbelievable thing in history. Someone was actually killing their evil gods. Thus, they wanted to release their rage on these small living beings. Dichio stood on the city wall and looked into the distance. He saw that in the turbid space behind the black mass of evil god servants, there were indistinct evil god apparitions. Those tall apparitions were evil gods. They received orders from evil gods. The evil god servants roared and hollered. Like locusts, they crazily charged towards the City of Light. They didn't talk at all. There was no nonsense at all. Guys, the time to protect the city has arrived. Don't be afraid, fear will only speed up your death. Dichio hollered in rage. Shortly after, an old book with an unknown aura appeared in Dichio's hands. The book flipped open and a mysterious power gathered. Dichio raised the staff in his hands and hollered in rage. Raging flames burn. A mysterious diagram appeared in the air. Scorching power gathered. Shortly after, flames that could burn the sky exploded, turning into several fire dragons that swept the evil god servants. Honglong. Intense flames covered the area. The range of the flames was huge. Some evil god servants cried out in pain, while others roared in rage. Dichio's expression was solemn. These could only deal with normal evil god servants. The truly strong ones were enough to deal with these flames. Suddenly, the ground shook. The dimension ripped open and an old era overlord stepped out and hollered in rage. A bunch of small blood food that borrowed the power of evil gods. Dichio's expression changed. He didn't expect the old era overlord to appear so quickly. The flames burning on the ground seemed to have met their nemesis, extinguishing right away. It is time for us to attack, don't let these people get close to the city. The guy carrying the huge sword raised his arms and touched the sword hilt. He held the two swords in his hands and then hollered in rage. He jumped down from the city wall. Instantly, countless close combat warriors followed closely behind. Their bodies gave off evil god aura and many black patterns appeared on the surface of their skin. At such a moment, they didn't dare to be careless and could only use all their strength. The price was that the evil god aura became thicker and thicker. As time flowed, they would slowly be infected by the evil god aura and from then on, they would become evil god servants. A huge battle instantly exploded. The warriors were nimble and strong. A few of them worked together to attack and defend. Along with the staff-wielding people on the city wall who attacked from afar, they actually posed a huge problem for the evil god servants. But all of them knew that this situation would last for a short period of time. Their strength to fight against evil gods was just overestimating themselves. There was no way to compare at all. As expected, not long later, the warrior holding the sword hollered in rage. A thick evil god aura spread out from his body. Kill me, the evil god aura is infecting me, I can't take it anymore. The guy hollered towards his companions. He felt his heart beating really quickly, and there was an uncontrollable power charging about in his body. His vision became blurry like he was covered in a blood mist. In the battle just now, he used too much power that didn't belong to him. Evil God's power was strong, but the repercussions were just too terrifying. When his companions saw those scenes, they found it hard to bear. But if they didn't kill him, their companions would become the evil god servants, and they wouldn't be the people they were familiar with anymore. Just at that moment, a dragon roar spread out from the distance. The dragon roar shook heaven and earth. Everyone raised their heads. A divine dragon swept over, and there seemed to be a person standing on the head of the divine dragon. What evil god is this? Dichio panicked. This was an evil god that he had never met before. Was today really the day that the City of Light would be destroyed? Very quickly, the god dragon appeared between the City of Light and the evil god servants. The person standing on the head of the god dragon opened his mouth. Do you know where my cousin is? I have been searching for him for a long time. Chapter 6:22. The people in the City of Light were stunned. They thought that an unknown evil god came but didn't expect that he was here to find someone. Where is cousin? Zhou Zhongmao had been walking on the path to find cousin. Since he met the dragon beneath him, he went from the familiar world to another. He was really unfamiliar with this world. From then on, he stepped on the path to find cousin. Along the way, he met many monsters, but to find cousin, he didn't want to offend too many enemies. But these monsters didn't seem friendly. This made Zhou Zhongmao furious. I didn't offend them, so what did they want to do? He then beat them up such that the monsters couldn't fight back at all. He didn't come here to do anything. He knew that many people would gather here and wanted to ask if they knew where cousin was. It was tough for him to find, and he really wanted to return to cousin's embrace. Sir, now that the City of Light is being invaded by evil gods, I hope that you can help us fight against them. Dichio said hurriedly. An unknown expert appeared here, and at the same time, he was a human. If he could get his help, they might have a chance of surviving. Zhou Zhongmao asked, then, do you know where cousin is? Cousin? Dichio was stunned and asked anxiously, what is your cousin's name? Lin Fan. My cousin is called Lin Fan. Do you know him? Zhou Zhongmao asked in anticipation. During these days, not only did he meet many monsters, but he also met many humans. But regretfully, no matter who he asked, they said that they didn't know him. He was about to despair. Ancestral Dragon said, they don't know who your cousin is. This isn't the original world, but another world. The most important thing now is to find the way back. I have told you for half a year, why don't you understand? Zhou Zhongmao ignored Zulong. To him, if not for this dragon, he wouldn't have come to this broken place. Dichio shook his head. I don't know him. Zhou Zhongmao sighed and was a little disappointed. I knew it. How would you know him? Let's go and find another place. Zulong said, aren't you prepared to help them block these monsters? With their strength, they definitely won't be able to withstand it. How? There is a strong guy behind those monsters. I have to stay alive to find my cousin. Moreover, I can only sacrifice my life for my cousin. I won't sacrifice it for anyone else. Zhou Zhongmao said. That's true. Ancestral Graygon nodded. The monsters in front of him were indeed nothing, but the vague figures behind them exuded a terrifying aura. If they really fought, the outcome was hard to say. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about this. I just want to find my cousin. I don't want to ask about anything else. I wish you good luck. Zhou Zhongmao said. What else could Ancestral Graygon say? He turned around and flew into the distance. The evil god servants didn't stop Zhou Zhongmao from leaving. Their goal was to destroy the City of Light, not to confront this guy who came out of nowhere. Dichio looked at the departing Zhou Zhongmao. He wanted to say something, but many words were stuck in his throat. But immediately after, the sky was squeezed and the dimension ripped open. A terrifying power descended and smashed into the evil god's servants. Rumble! An astonishing roar erupted. The ground caved in, forming a giant hole. Many evil god servants didn't even understand what was going on and were turned to dust. It was just too tragic. Although Zhou Zhongmao didn't stay to help. However, he still unleashed his ultimate skill in a rather wretched manner. Then, he slipped away without looking back. Instantly, the evil gods were furious. They didn't expect that someone would dare to attack right under their noses. "Thank you," Diqiu said softly and heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, at least Lin Fan reduced a lot of pressure on them. The warriors guarding the City of Light were all stunned. So amazing! If he was willing to stay and help, then the City of Light would definitely have hope. But unfortunately, he left. "Keep your spirits up," Diqiu roared, waking up the soldiers who were in a daze. "That expert helped us wipe out many evil god servants. If we hold on, the other experts will arrive soon. No matter what, we have to hold on until then." "Yes," everyone hollered. Confidence burned in their hearts. That's right. As long as they held on until the other experts arrived, they would have a chance. The evil god servants surged over crazily. That man wielding 2 huge swords died in the hands of the evil god servant. He didn't want to become a monster infected by evil god energy. His companions didn't have the heart to attack him. Thus, he charged into the group of evil god servants and died together with them. A great battle with a great disparity in strength erupted. "Defend," Diqiu told the close combat warriors to return. There were more and more evil god servants and their bodies were getting bigger and bigger. If they continued to defend, then they would definitely die. A bright light exploded from the city walls and struck the evil god servants. A one-eyed giant's arms were covered in spikes and he smashed towards the City of Light. His giant arms covered the sky and with a loud explosion, a light barrier appeared and blocked the strike. This evil god servant was too strong. The people on the other side of the light screen felt the earth tremble. If it weren't for the light curtain, the City of Light would have been smashed into 2 halves by this attack. Diqiu couldn't be distracted. He was restricting the old era ruler and the book in his hand shone brightly. "Damn blood food, damn it!" The old era ruler was furious. He was unable to take down the City of Light and that made him feel humiliated. Numerous evil god servants smashed the light barrier. The light barrier shook and ripples spread out. Based on the attacks. Who knew how long they could last for? He just hoped that they could last until they arrived. After a long while, Diqiu's face turned ashen white. At the same time, the evil god energy wrapped around his body became thicker. He borrowed too much of the evil god's power and if this continued, he would be totally infected. If he was infected, then the City of Light would have no hope at all. Gotcha! Cracks appeared on the light barrier. The sound was really crisp. Not good. Diqiu was shocked and his expression changed. Under the concentrated attacks of the evil god servants, was it really going to shatter? At that moment, everyone raised their heads in terror. They felt like there was no more hope. As long as the light barrier shattered, evil gods would surge in and they would be ripped apart by the evil god servants. They wouldn't even have a complete corpse left. "Diqiu, don't panic. I am here." Just at that moment, a voice spread from the sky. Diqiu was delighted. That voice belonged to Mo Fu. He didn't expect Mo Fu to rush over so quickly. He was just too quick. Moments later, Lin Fan walked out from the dimension with Mo Fu in his hand. Old ancestor Xiao frowned. This scene made him recall something. "I made it in time," Lin Fan said. Mo Fu was too slow. Based on his speed, he would probably need a period of time. But one had to say that the distance was really far. "All of you stop," Lin Fan hollered. His voice turned into a sound wave that swept forwards. When the evil god servants heard that, their hearts shook like they were being suppressed by something. Mo Fu and Lin Fan landed on the city wall. "Diqiu, we aren't late, right?" Mo Fu patted Diqiu's shoulder and smiled. If he came alone, He would definitely pee his pants facing such a scene. However, he had 2 experts by his side. But the situation was different. Dichio forced a smile. We aren't late. If we were slightly later, you would only be able to see my corpse. He then looked towards Lin Fan and old ancestor Xiao and asked curiously, these 2 are? Mo Fu smiled. Don't worry, they are the helpers I invited. With them here, City of Light will be fine. Dichio was shocked like he didn't dare to believe it. The situation they were facing wasn't so simple. How could just 2 helpers solve it? Even if people from the 12 cities were here, they didn't have much of a chance. Sect leader Lin, look over there. Many evil gods have come. Old ancestor Xiao pointed into the distance. Although the evil gods didn't appear in their main bodies. However, there were many faintly discernible gigantic silhouettes, as if there were many mountains there. We are going to be rich. Lin Fan looked at those scenes and his eyes lit up. When had he ever seen such a scene? It was just too shocking. Don't be rash, let me go first. Lin Fan raised his hand and told old ancestor Xiao to wait here. He would leave the rest to him. Old ancestor Xiao said, how can I do that? Let's do it together. To Lin Fan, how could he let old ancestor Xiao attack? At least before he gained a wave of rage points, he definitely wouldn't let old ancestor Xiao join in. Wait a moment, I'll go talk to them. Lin Fan didn't wait for old ancestor Xiao to reply and just walked forwards. Dichio was stunned as he looked at Lin Fan and old ancestor Xiao. What was going on with the 2 of them? He understood what they were saying, but he couldn't understand what they meant. It was like they were saying, I want to fight one-on-one. No, they had to fight together. That was roughly what they meant. Isn't this a little too arrogant? Lin Fan looked at the black patch of evil god servants and smiled. A bunch of scum, what are all of you doing? The evil god servants raised their heads and looked at Lin Fan. There was no reaction at all. There weren't even any rage points. You small evil god servants, now that I am here, do you still dare to be arrogant? All of you kneel down and look up to your god. Lin Fan hollered. A terrifying aura exploded out. Pung! Pung! The aura was too terrifying. Numerous evil god servants suffered from the unbearable pressure. The ground cracked and they knelt to the ground. To them, it was like their bodies were carrying an unimaginable weight. Rage points plus 999. Rage points plus 999. Furious roars reverberated throughout the area. Lin Fan's smile became wider and wider. Gaining rage points was just so simple. Simple and direct. That was the most useful thing. Chapter 623. What do you want to do? Old ancestor Xiao looked at Lin Fan in shock. Evil god servants had no sense of shame, so what was the point of insulting them? If it was him, there wouldn't be so much nonsense and he would just attack. Mo Fu, where did you find such an expert? Dichio was stunned. This was just too terrifying. The evil god servants who were hard to deal with actually all knelt down under his aura. What kind of terrifying power was that? Mo Fu's eyes opened wide. Not only was Dichio stunned, but even he himself was stunned. He quickly reacted and said calmly, Kiki, I met them coincidentally. I told you not to worry, as long as they are here, the evil gods won't be able to do anything. Those warriors standing on the city wall opened their mouths wide. Their mouths were agape, and they were all stunned by the scene in front of them. They had never expected that someone could actually be so terrifying. Lin Fan sensed their respectful and shocked gazes, but he didn't care much about it. That was normal. How could such an outstanding person like him not be worshipped by others? As evil god servants, you only have this little bit of strength? Lin Fan continued to talk. Large amounts of rage points struck him, making him feel really good. He felt like his life was about to reach the peak. The evil god servants hollered in rage. They wanted to climb up. but under this terrifying aura, they couldn't even move a finger. Suddenly, the evil gods hiding in the distance attacked. A terrifying aura swept over from the distance. But to Lin Fan, even if it was an evil god, it depended on what kind of evil god it was. Lin Fan scoffed coldly. His aura shook and he formed a physical fist. He punched forwards and the chaotic illusionary land in the distance exploded. Furious roars could be heard coming from there. It was obvious that the evil gods were infuriated by Lin Fan's actions. Sect leader Lin, we agreed to do it together. Don't take it all for yourself. Old ancestor Shao hurried over. Last time, they took one each and it was a huge loss. His luck was just too bad. The second-class evil gods that kept appearing made him feel really helpless. Calm down, this is just the beginning. Do you still suspect that I will swallow all of them? Lin Fan was helpless. It is hard to say. Old ancestor Shao understood Lin Fan, so how could he not know what kind of person he was? If he really believed the other party's words, then he would really be seeing a ghost. At that moment, Lin Fan didn't stop old ancestor Shao from helping. He only needed rage points. Nothing else mattered. Lowly blood food, you're courting death. Some evil gods hollered in rage. The furious sound waves were like sharp blades that swept forwards. Some of the evil god's servants were instantly sliced into pieces in front of the sharp sound waves. Stop putting on an act. Come out and let this sect leader see just how strong you are. Lin Fan wasn't afraid at all. He didn't sense any terrifying aura, which meant that none of the evil gods were in the top 10. If evil god post-line descends, he and old ancestor Shao needed to flee. Otherwise, he might very well die here. Immediately after, huge figures appeared in the distance. The evil gods used their true bodies to descend. There are a lot of them. Old ancestor Shao looked carefully and confirmed the number. There were first-class evil gods and also second-class evil gods. It was enough for Lin Fan and him to reap a huge harvest. Sect leader Lin, don't bother about who. Whoever kills them belongs to whom. What do you think? Old ancestor Shao said. Lin Fan smiled. Aren't we going to come one by one? When old ancestor Shao heard this, his expression changed. What were they going to do? Although he didn't believe that his luck would be so bad, no matter what, he didn't want to try. If he was really that bad, then what should he do? Let's not do that. Old ancestor Shao said and then exclaimed, Sect leader Lin, you are cheating. You haven't even started. He didn't expect sect leader Lin to be so quick. He actually charged towards the evil gods. He didn't hesitate and chased right away. How is it? The helpers I invited are strong enough, right? Mo Fu said. At the same time, he was really envious. If he had such strength, maybe everything would be different. Di Qiu was stunned. He had never experienced such a scene. Who are they? To Di Qiu, these two experts definitely weren't from this world. If they didn't borrow the power of evil gods, they wouldn't be able to become so strong. That is sect leader Lin Fan. He came from another blood food world, but because there was an expert like sect leader Lin, that place wasn't occupied. Mo Fu said. If only they had such a powerhouse here in the past. The result would naturally be very different from the current situation. Lin Fan. When Di Qiu heard this name, he was stunned. Just now, he heard someone mention this name. Why? Mo Fu asked curiously. Di Qiu said, Before all of you came, a young man appeared and he was really strong. He said that he was looking for cousin and his cousin's name was Lin Fan. I don't know if they are the same person. Mo Fu was stunned. He thought about it and felt like they weren't the same person. Maybe after this ended, he could ask sect leader Lin. At that moment, screams spread from the distance. Lin Fan and old ancestor Shao were like wolves that entered a herd of sheep. You second-class evil god scram, I don't have time to play with you. Old ancestor Shao kicked a second-class evil god to the side. He hollered in rage and pounced at the first-class evil god in front of him. This was the first-class 38 evil god Haituda. His body was like a turtle and he had a tough outer shell. His shell was covered in tentacles. You are asking to die. Evil god Haituda raged. He didn't expect that the small blood food would actually dare to attack him. Although old ancestor Zhao's strength was much weaker, he had no problem dealing with the first-class 38 evil gods. Lie down for this seat. Old ancestor Zhao slapped and thick power pressed forwards. With a purring, evil god Haituda's body exploded. Old ancestor Zhao grabbed with his fingers and the blood pearl was in his hands. The first one. He was delighted. As long as he continued to kill, the missing Dao pattern laws would return. But when he looked towards Lin Fan, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Beast!" He didn't expect Lin Fan to be even more vicious and greedy than him. He grabbed an evil god and smashed towards the other evil god. Then, he killed both of them. He was even faster than him. Sect leader Lin, slow down. Can you not be so quick? Old ancestor Zhao hollered. Lin Fan replied, You are the one who is slow. On the city wall, Di Qiu was stunned as he looked at the scenes in the distance. He turned his head and was stunned. Mo Fu, are those the evil gods that forced us to such a desperate situation? Mo Fu was stunned and then said, It should be. He was a little lost. Those evil gods that occupied their world and treated them as blood food were being beaten up. Occasionally there would be screams. What they couldn't accept was that Lin Fan and old ancestor Zhao beat up the evil gods while scolding one another. One couldn't tell that they cared about the evil gods at all. Suddenly, a voice spread out from the distance. Cousin, Zhou Zhongmao hollered. His voice was filled with excitement and disbelief. When Lin Fan heard that voice, his expression changed. He stopped what he was doing. He opened his eyes wide and looked into the distance. When he saw that person, he was sure that he didn't see wrongly. That was really his cousin who disappeared for half a year. Cousin, let me help you. Zhou Zhongmao hollered and joined the battlefield right away. Originally, he had really left. But on the way, he thought of the great things his cousin had done for the people. As his cousin, how could he not save him? So after hesitating for a moment, he immediately turned back. But when he got close, he realized that the aura was really familiar. It was cousin's aura. He sped up and attacked eagerly. When he saw that familiar person, Zhou Zhongmao's tears flowed down uncontrollably. What? He finally found cousin. At that moment, he understood that maybe this was the arrangement of the heavens. If he didn't return, then he would have missed his cousin. Cousin, kill these evil gods and take out the blood pearls. Once this ends, we will have a good chat. Lin Fan said. Okay, cousin. Zhou Zhongmao said. Lin Fan looked at Zhu Long and recognized him right away. Wasn't that the Zhao family dragon? Why was he with cousin? No wonder. Since that battle, the dragon had disappeared. Who knew that he was with cousin? It seemed like cousin had many fortuitous encounters during this period of time. When old ancestor Zhao saw that, he exclaimed, Sect leader Lin, you are too despicable. I am alone. At that moment, old ancestor Zhao felt a gaze filled with killing intent striking him. Zhou Zhongmao opened his eyes wide and stared right at old ancestor Zhao. This fellow actually said that cousin was despicable. Damn. As long as cousin gave an order, he wouldn't hesitate to charge up and beat him up. Don't look at me like that, I am familiar with your cousin. Old ancestor Zhao said. Right when he stopped, old ancestor Zhao noticed that Lin Fan killed 2 more evil gods. This made him anxious. How could such a shameless thing happen? Lin Fan realized that cousin was really strong. He actually reached Dao Realm Stage 7. Actually, what he didn't know was that Zhou Zhongmao was really frightened by his own strength. Although during the period when cousin was separated, He had been working hard to cultivate. But even if he cultivated, his strength couldn't suddenly increase so much that he was a little afraid. In the first half a year, his strength increased to Dao Realm Stage 6 for no reason. This made Zhou Zhongmao lose confidence in cultivation. It was pointless. He couldn't feel the feeling of breaking through at all. He met this dragon and in this half a year, his cultivation reached Dao Realm Stage 7 in the first half of the year. At that moment, old ancestor Shao panicked. *T. What a *T. How could he compare to the two of them working together? But luckily, this newcomer was average and couldn't insta-kill evil gods like them. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to play. Chapter 624. No, there is a problem here. Old ancestor Shao realized that things weren't as he thought. But his hands didn't stop and he was really quick. One evil god was exploded by him. What is the problem? Lin Fan asked. Old ancestor Shao was really cunning. He said that there was a problem but he didn't stop. Who was he trying to con? Old ancestor Shao kicked a second-class evil god away. Sect leader Lin, I feel like these evil gods are asking to die. They know that they aren't our match, but not only did they not flee, they even surged over. They are asking to die. Then? Lin Fan asked. Old ancestor Shao shook his head and said solemnly, I don't know, I don't understand why they are doing that. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. Don't you feel good killing them now? Lin Fan realized that people were just too much. They killed so many evil gods that they cried out in pain. They took many blood pearls and they actually said that there was a problem with them. One couldn't be so overboard, right? That's true. Old ancestor Shao nodded. Sect leader Lin's words made sense. The situation did feel good. As for what the problem was, that was just his guess. Very quickly, the evil gods were all killed by them. The scenes were shocking. One could say that it made one panic. Mo Fu, do you think I am in a dream? Di Qiu asked in a daze. From the beginning to the end, he had seen the number of evil gods continuously decrease. His heart had gone from a huge wave to a calm state. No one could understand what kind of change had occurred to his mentality. This isn't a dream but reality, Mo Fu said. He understood why Di Qiu didn't dare to believe it. After all, they were evil gods. They suppressed them so badly that they couldn't fight back. But now those evil gods were like a bunch of ants. They were killed so badly that they couldn't fight back at all. Pung! Lin Fan punched and the power pierced through him. The last evil god died with reluctance. It is over. He clenched his hand into a fist and held the bead of flesh in his hand. Old ancestor Shao wanted to continue searching for evil gods, but after looking around, he realized that there were no more to kill. It was a pity. He looked at Lin Fan with a bitter gaze. Cousin, what are these things for? Zhou Zhongmao passed the blood pearls to Lin Fan. There weren't many, just 4. To be able to kill 4 evil gods in the hands of 2 bandits was already a decent thing. It wasn't easy. I'll tell you later. Lin Fan kept the 4 beads happily. He then looked at old ancestor Shao and smiled. Your luck is not bad. There are actually 12 of them and 5 of them are from first-class evil gods. Old ancestor Shao wanted to kill Lin Fan. Damn. Don't go too far. There were so many first-class evil gods and he only managed to snatch 5. It was really embarrassing. He was already trying his best. But he couldn't snatch it away. Sect leader Lin, those words don't mean much. Old ancestor Shao sighed. Ha, I was just joking. Don't take it to heart. You didn't make this trip in vain after getting so much. Lin Fan said. The 3 of them landed on the city wall. The people of the City of Light looked at him with admiration. They still couldn't believe what was happening in front of them. It was too scary. Even if they personally witnessed it, they were still stunned. Thank you. Di Chio walked forwards and thanked him sincerely. If it wasn't for the fact that people didn't kneel, he would have knelt down and kowtowed to Lin Fan. It is just a small matter, Lin Fan said calmly. His calmness made everyone worship him once more. An expert, this was a true expert. Old Ancestor Shao said, I told you that borrowing evil god power isn't reliable. If not for us coming to help, this place would have been occupied by evil gods. It's true that you have to rely on your own cultivation to gain power. Di Chio sighed. You're right, but we really have no other choice. When the evil god first descended, we had no way to stop him. In our most desperate moments, the evil god lent us power, allowing us to survive. This is already our fortune. Old Ancestor Shao, don't say that without thinking. Some things can't be achieved just because you think about it, Lin Fan said. Actually, truthfully. His thoughts were the same as Old Ancestor Shao. But thinking about it, if the situation didn't allow it, what else could he do? Sect Leader Lin, truthfully, we are here today but we can't be here every single time. Now that the evil gods that lent them power didn't appear, it means that they have totally given up on them. If they continue to stay here, they will just die. Old Ancestor Shao said. Based on what I see, it is best for the 12 cities to leave this place. Although Lin Fan loved to go against Old Ancestor Shao. But this fellow's words made sense. That was indeed the case. If this continued, they wouldn't be able to defend the 12 cities. Hayes, Di Chio and Mo Fu both sighed heavily to express how helpless they were. If they left, where could they go? The feeling of leaving home wasn't good. It was like a stray dog hiding. If they could become stronger, how good would that be? Just at that moment, voices spread from the distance. Di Chio, we are here. Hold on. The rest of the experts from the holy city came. They came in a hurry, but the journey was long. With their strength, it was impossible for them to arrive instantly. Even Lin Fan and the others had to fly for a period of time before arriving. They were prepared to die together with the evil gods. Although they panicked, they couldn't retreat from some things. Where are the evil gods? But when they arrived and were prepared to fight the evil gods, they realized that there were no evil gods. The ground in the distance was riddled with holes like an intense battle had happened. You really came at the right time. Lin Fan took a look and then looked at Mo Fu and Di Chio. Think about it. Tell Mo Fu to inform me that this place isn't a place you can stay in. Lin Fan didn't stay and brought cousin and the others to leave. You city. Zhou Zhongmao's return made Lin Wani really happy. He didn't expect this kid to not only be alive but also raise his cultivation to such a high level. He really didn't expect that. At the same time, what Lin Wani didn't expect was that Zhou Zhongmao was actually with the Zhao family dragon. Cousin, I was wondering why I couldn't find you. So, I was in another world. Zhou Zhongmao was in a good mood. His biggest wish during this period of time was to find cousin. Other things weren't important to him at all. How did you get there? Lin Fan asked. Zhou Zhongmao scratched his head. Cousin, I don't know either. Back then, when I met the old dragon, I fought with him. At that time, I couldn't beat him at all, but suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck down. When I woke up, I was already there. To Lin Fan, maybe this was transmigration. Lightning split open the dimension and built a tunnel. Cousin and ancestral dragon headed there. It is okay, it is good that you are back. During this period of time when you weren't here, I had to do everything myself. Am I so tired? Lin Fan said. In the past, when cousin was by his side, he didn't need to do anything to beat people up. He just needed a gaze and cousin would understand. Zhou Zhongmao blamed himself and showed a sad expression. Cousin, I told you. Cousin, you have become thinner. You aren't as fat as before. Lin Fan was helpless and felt that cousin was a little fake. How was he thinner? He was much fatter than before. Oh right, I forgot to tell you something. Your cousin, I am married. Lin Fan said. Zhou Zhongmao was shocked and then he was delighted. Cousin, I have a sister-in-law? Then, do I have a nephew? Not so fast, wait. Lin Fan said. Old ancestor Xiao felt like he didn't fit in with them. Sect leader Lin, since that is the case, then I will leave first. Okay, I won't send you off. Lin Fan waved his hands casually like he was sending someone away. This made old ancestor Xiao a little angry. No matter what, he was a guest, so couldn't he be more polite? Old ancestor Xiao cursed in his heart. He didn't want to say a single word. He turned around and left. Just at that moment, Go Zi carried the freshly cooked food and walked in. Old ancestor Zhao's nose twitched and he smelled a familiar scent. Just as he raised his leg, he slowly landed back on the spot. He turned around and said, Sect leader Lin, I have something to talk to you about, so I won't leave for now. Old ancestor Xiao, why are you so fake? If you want to stay, then just say it. It isn't like I won't let you eat. How could Lin Fan not see through his intentions? From head to toe, he saw through it right away. He didn't need to think much at all. Old ancestor Xiao felt a little awkward. Sect leader Lin was too direct. Couldn't he give him some face? Cough cough. Lin Wani told Lin Fan to pay attention to his image. No matter what, old ancestor Xiao was an ancient person and he had to give him face. To Lin Fan, cousin's return was a joyous matter and it was worth celebrating. Deep abyss. A bunch of evil gods revived. They didn't shout and they weren't angry. They just looked at one another and left in an orderly manner. To them, the failure to attack City of Light wasn't something worth being angry about. In the depth, Vengeance Evil God Ji asked, What is all this for? When he saw Lin Fan appear, his body shuddered. Rage burned in his heart and he really wanted to charge out to fight Lin Fan. But he knew that with his current strength, he was no match for Lin Fan. Evil God Postline wouldn't let him do that. You don't have to understand all this now. In the future, you will know why. It is easy to kill them but there is no need. They are still useful. Postline said slowly. Shortly after, Postline looked to the side. There were still scenes there. Amongst the corpses of numerous evil gods and servants, a black shadow was swallowing them. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.